军出击！呀！烈尽通途。
看这儿！
尽管躲吧。
Well, would you look at that, it's time to cast some League of Legends. Hello everyone, I'm back, and Sam will be joining me soon. I did catch most of the game on my second screen, but I had to learn German at the same time as well. Most of this game, been pretty scrappy, been impressed by Tangyuan's Ahri. Champion, which of course I have a lot of time on. I love the way that he's been ulting to choose his angles, stacking that Dark Seal nicely. And we'll get back into things, won't we? You know what, I might just do something cheeky first, very, very cheeky. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And we'll have ourselves the clean feed without actually needing to do that thing where I have a browser up at the same time. It should actually be just a little bit smoother. Let's get into this then, shall we? Sorry for leaving you out in the cold without a cast for this one. So, actually great flash away in that last team fight, going for, as someone highlighted in Twitch chat. Sorry if you're in the other chats. Highlighted that this is kind of going for the Gumayushi build. The Ghost Blade first, although it's a little bit weirder than that because they do have the Rapid Fire Cannon as well. I think the Fire Cannon makes a lot of sense here for Jachi, because you're going to have to walk up and deal with a lot of people who, if you're in auto attack range, can jump onto you. Galio, Shinzao, Ral, all like that. Rapid Fire Cannon gives you a bit of movement speed off the base item from the Zeal component, and then also, yeah, allows you to play from a bit longer range. Tangyuan, really interested to see what he can do. I want to see him, again, putting his body on the line with this build. Xiaoxia does have ult, potentially could just run forwards, and yeah, Tangyuan has to ult backwards, of course, doesn't have cooldown items, so losing that ult is big because the dragon is alive. So that's a good win there for Ultra Prime. This is the problem with the Ahri build. You can't have to full send it when you use your ult. If you end up just using it defensively, it feels like a big loss. Okay, right, shall we, yeah, let's have a think about what we do in the background. So, of course, this is Group Nirvana. Very important for both of these teams in their first games in Group Nirvana to get up to a good start. Game volume is low. I can sort that out, can't I? In fact, it is. Sorry, my bad. My bad. I've been dipping things around. Sorry, this should be a lot better now. This should be a lot better. Turn it down. Okay, sorry, I was messing around a little bit with the volumes there. Hopefully this is now okay. You let me know what it's like there in the background, and hopefully this is fine. Alright, okay, we'll work with that. So, 2 dragons over to Ultra Prime, managed to fight back against that last one, forced the ult out of Tangyuan. In terms of these compositions, I mean, Ultra Prime have a pretty damn good wombo combo, don't they? It's kind of reliant on Xiaoxia to get a good engage on the Ral, but you know, we can work with that. On the other side, though, RNG kind of only have to pay attention to that Rel in some cases, unless Shinzao gets a very good ult. Not a good ult, but, you know, a good engage. RNG, on the other side, good individual matchups. Ahri will eventually be a big issue to both the Rumble and... Hang on a second, this is the ult we were potentially looking for, but that's not a great Galio ult, is it? And the bullet time used kind of poorly too. Tangyuan not getting that much done with his ult either, though, so it looks like it's a bit of a wash. Go back to even. Tangyuan not able to land that charm. And both teams back off. Why is my favorite champion Ahri? Because I saw Faker play it at Season 3 Worlds, and I thought, hey, I'll give that champion a try. I mean, that too, because I think she's hot. Yeah, hey Sam, how's it going? Sam will join us in just a second. Oh, ult pulled out by Jachi here. Has a good amount of damage, but can he hit the shots? No! 4th one goes into Wako instead. And we are left with a living Rumble. Athgon started up. So, RNG heavily on this objective for now. Trying to hold this Tribrush. Niket has that ultimate to be a tank in that front line. If you just stand in that area just outside of Tribrush with your ult running as Alice, there's not a great deal that the enemy team can do about that. Sean goes wide. We'll go into potentially a big fight for this game. Very even. Next big fight could really pull ahead, particularly with both teams having such good go buttons, well, such good follow-up to their go buttons. That gold makes a lot of difference.
Issue though is because Milky Way less than half HP as the jungler in not a great position, can't get anywhere near the Atacon, jumps over the wall, look to smite, has got that counter-strike running, but still the secure is there for Ultra Prime with the withdrawals to work with. RNG winning out a couple kills here, but they don't mean as much when it's only the withdrawals. Still trying to get a fair number off, and in fact, John Howe trying to get this win becomes lightning down to the audacious charge. Jachi will barrier it, and RNG, despite losing the fight, or rather the smite, win the fight, as I get my articles correct.
The only annoyance here, well, I say the only annoyance, one of the annoyances here for RNG, though, is the fact that they don't get something like Alt Hunter stacks. They don't get stuff like the Dark Seal stacks for the Arya. Tango's had a good game here, but sadly, you know, those kills don't actually count as kills. You don't get Dark Seal stacks. You don't get Ultimate Hunter or whatever Hunter stacks you do have. If you take those and anything else which scales off of champion kills, RNG at least deny that being a big takeaway, although I think from what we just saw there was a replay in there for how EGN lost his flash.
Yeah, Shasha at least has got theirs. We'll be trying to get some value out of that one on the Rel. Make some very aggressive plays. We'll look at the replay here because it was a pretty scrappy one. Milky Way had to find a way into the pit. Kind of out from off to the side. They do blow up the Rel, but that means they're dead and therefore get to keep the withdrawals, which everyone else does not.
No, well, I was highlighting this before you came to the room, Sam. The way I look at Ultra Prime's composition is they have a lot of follow-up, only one engage. So the Rel, if they land a good engage, everyone pops. Right there, though, as you can see, if you just focus down the Rel or you just pay attention to the Rel, very hard for Ultra Prime to get a good combo off. So a lot of this game is banking on Xiaoxia. A little bit hard from the draft to have that extra engage come through.
You got sort of conditional engage from a Xin Zhao with the Audacious Charge and a Talon Strike, but that really does feel like it sometimes, as Milky Way will hop away. Members in his jungle, has to back on out of that. The Xin Zhao in a pretty good spot here, all things said and done. Problem is, TP out, flash for the taunt, means Tang Yuan's now in danger, needs to start running away, has a flash and an ult. Yi Zheng there as well, looking to get some slows on down. Tang Yuan still got another ult charge, should be just fine here. So the flash from Saber for just the ult, but the teleport, of course, from Tang Yuan was also cancelled. So, in the end, rough trade of Samus.
Yeah, so the thing here is that Tang Yuan, we're saying this again before, it is a win condition to play around this Ahri build's ult cooldown. Yes, you are at level 16, so it is a shorter cooldown now, but still, you're still lacking a lot of cooldown reduction, so at this point in the game, you can still find windows. Much less important than it was later on. That's a catch on chaps. Xiaoxu, man, caught out.
Just picked up that tier 2, had a load of friends around in the river, tries to get Xiaoxu off there, can't quite do it, and will fall down there.
But why is he pushed up that far? Why is he pushed up that far? Feels like it is very disrespectful to be playing that far up. He gets cornered by 4 people.
Gets to tier 2 at the very least, I suppose, but it means he's not going to be around for this dragon. It would be soul fight, teleport in 35, so if RNG can hold on.
And I hope you enjoy your tier 2 turret, because now you're not going to be there for a really important fight. This dragon, Ultra Prime, onto you already. It's a good pick off from them, punishing RNG in both side lanes, taking the Ariel and then taking the life of the Gwen. Dragon's going to go over to them now, no contest.
Baron is up. I wonder whether RNG just say, well, look, we'll go play for that instead, because while that Gwen was on the tier 2, they were all in the river. They weren't, however, in the Tribrush where the Rel was. That caused a bit of problem. Let's get some wards down and set themselves up, but have not started it as yet. Looking to see whether they can catch someone overstepping to get in here.
Tower goes down. Ultra Prime in a good spot. I mean, the fun... Look, I have to say, look, this is Group Nirvana. I'm glad we're still seeing teams of a similar level face off against each other in tense matchups. I'm someone who's, you know, obviously many people followed RNG for a great number of years at this point, right? You know, RNG, one of the most storied organizations within League of Legends, and we have another fight to see if they can come out on top. The Rel doesn't get a good ult down, though. It doesn't have the ult.
So will likely just die. Jachi picks that one up.
What is he doing?
Gwen?
Xiaoxu!
Teleports in and dies a horrible death. Landed charm, though, onto Xiaoxu. They're going to try and get some damage back. As Junhao does just about survive, they'll lose the Alistair as Niket left out to dry. The 4th shot not enough to bring Junhao down and get some healing off the way. Milky Way looking for an angle on in as Tang Yuan and Jachi also look to pick people up. But RNG get the initial kill and then fumble the rest of the fight.
Give me a replay of that. I have some things to say to Xiaoxu. Give me a replay. What the hell was that? Dies on the sideline, teleports in immediately, and completely gets blown apart. I mean, again, it's a bit of a wash in terms of the actual... Napoleon blown apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Sam. I swear. Sam, what a wonderful joke, Sam. I think we've learned an important thing about Xiaoxu's Gwen. Gwen is not immune.
Oh no.
He just teleports into 4 people and just immediately gets gutted. I mean, they turn a kill around, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some good plays out of here. They gave the kill onto the Rel. I mean, yeah, but I was about to say, they were trying to turn a kill around. It ends up being a 2-for-1 because Niket doesn't quite get the angle there. The Shinzo ultimate, very, very popular, but not popular, valuable. Maybe it is popular too. Who am I to judge? Maybe we should run a popularity poll on ultimates of champions. Niket doesn't have flash. That's actually a bit of an issue there if these guys get caught out. And the game slows down a little bit now. even-ish in gold. Dragon up in 3 minutes, Baron up now. Those will be our next big fights.
Mech is not a fan of my joke, Alex.
Yeah?
No, look, he's putting a wares in chat.
Oh, damn.
So,
Yeah, no, I'm actually trying to condition our audience into laughing in chat because it gives us dopamine.
that's true.
Great joke, you say in chat. Baron's gonna get started down. We'll see where the punchline of that one lies. You are now going into an objective pit against the wombo combo pit. The wall's at your back. This could be so dangerous for RNG.
RNG walk into a pit, find themselves a Baron, as Shower Shoe looking for a bit of an angle, throws some needles out. It's got the Hallowed Mist up and running. Milky Way with the counter trap, and it's left Niket out to dry a little bit. The needles last come on flying as the bullet time will finish off the cow. Wait out the ultimate. Now Ultra Prime into that Baron. There is a GA on Junhao as well, makes it tricky. Curtain now called. Milky Way looking for a flank angle. Can be pretty scary here on the Jax.
Tongyuan has that ult as well, lands the charm. He will get one killer if he wants to commit the ults. Jin not quite able to finish that off, and it ends up being a disengage again so far.
No one takes the Baron. Niket dies again with some resets happening, though. Charm lands on the resetting Galio into the Deadly Frost. Can't get any kills, though. But they're going to turn back around and start this up, I wonder.
I don't think you should. I think you just lost a lot of cooldowns. The enemy team have teleports. Milky Way, of course, and that Jax sets up for a stun, but that blows some important tools. That one's an actual win. Blowing that Galio ultimate, still long cooldown, even at the level 17.
Cost yourself the Ari ult, but she's still got 2 charges remaining. Sees people walking up, will throw a charm into a Q and likely just ult away.
I was actually quite worried that Vittorio, because his ult was like a second away from timing out, so that was a chance for a flash up to play that. That's one thing which catches out a lot of Ari players, by the way, because when you get when you press ult, you get your ult for 15 seconds running. After that, every kill resets it to 10 seconds if you're below it. Baron started up again, no Galio ult. RNG blew that cooldown. Summoner economy, cooldown economy, maybe in favor of RNG now.
Milky Way down at half HP is trying to tank up that Baron unsuccessfully. Xiaoshu, though, with a full stack Q, lets it time out. Looking for an angle here on the needlework. Can look for someone. Needs to back away as the rest of Ultra Prime look to invade into RNG's jungle. And now the Baron is Ultra Prime's to start.
I swear to God, we are ping-ponging here. Niket's going to get some damage onto him. He is not happy as an Alistar. Half HP, no ultimate, no flash. He does not want to play this fight. It has to be on Xiaoshu. Milky Way gets himself a good play onto the side too.
Gets headbutted back over the wall into Milky Way's hands, but it's left Niket out to dry a bit as well. Milky Way needs to back away. They've killed off Niket. What looked like a play onto the Rel doesn't get her killed. Now there's a curtain call as well as Tanguan looking for the ultimate angle. The equalizer slows down the Ari, and Milky Way ends up split up. The fourth shot goes wide. And Jachi can't finish someone. Flash out from Yijang, who gets to stay alive. The bullet time, not fantastic. Xiaoshu goes golden. They've killed off the Misfortune. Tanguan looking for an angle. Needs to flash on him for a charm. It is good. Into the Crypt Bloom healing. Xiaoshu not stepping on forwards, but the GA allows the Shinzao to come back up and play the fight. It's a bloodbath, and we've got 3 kills on both sides.
Jachi and Tongyuan try their very best to pick up the pieces of some really bad mistakes from Xiaoshu and from Milky Way. You know, I'm not gonna rag on Niket for this one. He headbutts away the comboing Rel from his team. That is a worthy death for the Alistar at half HP with no ultimate. But on the other side, Ultra Prime, they do manage to pick up a lot of pieces because really, this Shinzao is doing some mad work. Milky Way picks in this Jax to be a Shinzao counter. It is an LPL specialty. We love playing that here. And he is down 2,200 gold at this point. Junhao has been such a major carry for Ultra Prime after we've been ragging on him for a whole split at this point. Dragon's going to get started up by RNG to at least try and stop that Ocean Soul coming through from Ultra Prime. So in the grand scheme of things, even though the Baron's not finished, they do stop the Soul. Teleport up to the top side of the map though. Jiang comes back into play.
Look to find their way into the pit. They've got a control ward in that top pixel brush, but that is it. It is a dark, dark Baron pit right now for RNG, and it is started up, as we can see. What HP is that Baron at? Half. Can look to play this. Milky Way is around. Has flash. Has an arm guard to get into the pit. Are you ready to flip? I can smell the burgers! Can't quite secure it. The smite is secured. Ultra Prime now in danger, though, as Tanguan looks for an angle on the side, and they blow up the rest of the team as Niket finds a 4-man pulverize. In goes Junhao to try and escape with the audacious charge. The Galio ult trying to get out to safety. Won't quite manage as Tanguan kills off the Rumble. Golden is the Galio, but dead he is nonetheless. They get rid of everyone but Junhao.
Ultra Prime, good start on the Baron, terrible fight afterwards. I don't know whether it was just getting panicked in the retreat, but they gave a massive clump up to Niket. He managed to get a 4-man pull without using his flash. That shouldn't be possible on the Alistar, but he picks up the pieces, of course, and Niket playing against his old team here too. Need we mention that? Niket debuted in Ultra Prime last year, last summer, had a great start, and you know, sadly couldn't quite keep up with the level of form which he displayed before. Oh my god, Junhao's going deep.
Tries to find something. Flash over the headbutt. Tries to get to nice. Jachi's going to go down. Milky Way coming in the back on across. Audacious charge out of the counter strike. Junhao breaking the angles. Nick gets in danger. Pulverize. Headbutt away. Second audacious charge into the crescent strike to knock Milky Way out. He's just better.
Junhao takes RNG to the arena. Jachi and Niket have just been schooled by Junhao.
That was beautiful.
That's ridiculous! Now, folks, I want you to think back to this time last year. Everyone was singing the praises of Milky Way, this debutant coming in from the jungle role. Gets the knockout with the ultimate to stop Milky Way from getting into the play. Yeah, the disengage gets a bit bad after this point from RNG as they, you know, give the 4-man pulve over. Junhao massively saves his play with a great smite, and then afterwards managing to get those 2 kills in the mid lane as well. Junhao is absolute carry mode.
See whether he can take it over the edge, because of course you've still got to deal with the fact that Jachi is nominally pretty strong, but that Whimper comes lightning comes on in. Niket goes to defend him, flash on over for the 3 Talon strike, gets that kill, and then is going to audacious charge out of the counter strike.
Ridiculous.
Kill Niket, and then crescent guard Milky Way away because he's not touched him.
I can't believe this, man. That is one of the best Shinzao plays individually I've seen in a long time. Now he has a 3-cap. That is the solo Q Shinzao of your nightmares.
So much mobility, so much target access, so little you get to do. They'll look for something more as Niket goes on. The Crescent Guard rather is now used. Milky Way also off on the flank angle. The Equalizer is mediocre, but Niket burned out for it. Junhao now left in a 1v1 with this Shinzao though, and not having a lot of fun. Will Crescent, 3 Talon strike one more, but it's left him away as the rest of the fight keeps on going. Rel dead again. Another Crescent strike. Counter strike, as I will get the names of these abilities right one of these days. Milky Way gets that one into the misfortune.
Oh,
Jachi! For the 4th shot, and vengeance is the Jin's after Junhao gets him in the mid lane not so long ago. RNG in the 5v5s, suddenly well and truly online.
But give Junhao a team. He just had an ultimate which denied thousands of damage from RNG. He did his job. He held up his end of the bargain, but Ultra Prime just haven't been able to get their wombo combo. They haven't been able to stand and fight. The bullet time's still available, for God's sake. And on the other side, Jachi picks up the pieces. This Jhin has been absolutely phenomenal to watch. From another young player coming up into the LPL, Jachi really holding his own.
3 of my absolute favorites from the LDL in Niket, Jachi, and Milky Way looking to make this team work. There's a lot of learning to be done. It's not been perfect. Milky Way will go golden, and Xiaoxia won't secure the kill on that one. A hop on forward with the leap strike will still secure a game 1 win for RNG. But my days, was it a messy one?
Clean as Ambessa in a 1v1, if you get fed enough too. The Ambessa can sometimes really struggle there. And Tongyuan goes towards the Orianna. I have to say, I think RNG might fall into the lack of engage trap. You have a Nico to engage and occasionally a pinpoint Ambessa ult, but that's, you know, a single target pick. I think RNG are really going to be leveraging off of either superb Nico plays or a Shockwave to catch out Ultra Prime when they feel a little bit too good about themselves. Ultra Prime, a brawlier, tankier team. They don't lack damage either. Lee Sin can bring it in. I think against this kind of comp, I think Lee Sin can actually be a carry. Can separate out the fight, get a Q onto a Nico, and the Nico just dies. Can kick out. You know what? I have such an appreciation. Hang on a second. That's a lot of people found with that one ball. The Scion Q, of course, so strong at level 1. You need to be very careful walking up towards brushes. Comment in Twitch chat saying, isn't it very difficult to make Lee Sin work? It's going to be difficult if the game goes very long. It could be a problem. Now, normally I would agree with you. However, you look over RNG, 0 tanks, and it is Junhao playing the Lee Sin. I like this pick because Junhao, if he is feeling very skillful right now and good form, I think this is the kind of draft where actually Lee Sin can solo out almost anyone on the other team from RNG. This is the kind of game I think Lee Sin is actually very valuable in. How are the German courses going? I'm a native speaker, so I can't really judge it accurately, but is it that hard? I mean, the difficulty is that I'm streaming every day, obviously restreaming over to Onivia as well. Oh, hook chest band misses that. The difficulty is just doing it every day, and I'm basically getting up at, you know, 8 o'clock to get ready, class at 9, doing LPL until the early hours of the afternoon afterwards, and then occasionally I've got LEC work to do as well. It's a lot of work. Well, all of that, I've got to manage tax stuff and life stuff too. Turns out I've also got to do the washing and cook and stuff like that. It's a lot of work, that's the thing. Anyway, that's enough about my life, I guess, for people who actually want to watch the League of Legends game. Whatever, you can ask me about my life. You can do that too. Shashi doing well against the Sion in the early lane. I have some worries about this Ambessa, you know? The Ambessa is going to be... I think this Ambessa is going to really struggle. You don't deal that well with the Sion in the side lane. Sion just ends up wave clearing eventually. Lee Sin has lots of setup too. Looks like a great game for him. That's actually something I hadn't considered as well. Very true. You have the Rise Rune Prison, you have the Nautilus Hook, you have Sion going in, Varusol. Every single member of this team can set up for a point-and-click Lee Sin Q. That's a very good point. It's a very good point. Sounds like you need a housekeeper. God, oh man, I need Hilfe. I need help. Learn that one. Thank you, Scout. This chat will be Deutsch soon, perhaps. Hey, you know what? I want to talk some German in here as long as we can moderate it. That's the problem, isn't it? Okay. Nico used to spot out that bot side. Of course, there is a worry that with that setup from bot side, I know we're pinging between different topics here. Junhao's double buffs. He's about to hit level 4, right? And now it's level 4 with setup in bot lane with double buffs. Milky Way also knows this is an issue. If a hook lands now, I think there's some big problems coming up for Jachi and Nikat, and they have to flash away immediately. Nikat does land that roots, but the heal's blown. Jachi's actually gone for the teleport, worth noting. Doesn't have a combat summoner. This does open up the opportunity now for Milky Way to double scuttle. So, that'll be seen there, but you can't die here on bot side now. If that happens, that's a problem. Clone used, Junhao not getting that much of a inroad in here. And now Junhao knows he's lost that double scuttle. And that's a problem, because the Lee Sin can't afford to fall too far behind. Milky Way gets a quick double scuttle, we'll get a recall for, well, we'll see what they end up going towards. In this kind of game, I actually think you need to go towards the Sundered Sky and go a little bit tankier. You have 0 tanks on your team. Is he going to go towards the Triforce anyway? Triforce and... yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Been practiced a lot though? Thank you, Angie. Yes, Angie's very much been helping me practice. Just... I need Angie to say, this is something you should know in German. It's useful. Normally tends to help. One of the best way to learn another language, folks, is just by speaking. And being forced to speak it, you know, try your best even if you're getting it wrong. You can be corrected. Better than being silent. You know, at some point it'd be really helpful to learn some Mandarin as well. Obviously, great love for the LPL. It's a very different language though. Half of the names in the game, and this is more relevant to the game, right? Half of the names you see in the LPL have some kind of language pun or joke to them, or deeper meaning. If you see things like YCX or numbers like 369, that one's a little bit different, or 957 or something like that. Often they will refer to like an acronym of a word. XLB is Xiaolong Bao, which is kind of dumpling, for instance. He was a player in the LPL. The numbers will often correspond to Chinese characters written on an English keyboard. Stuff like that. Nikat's going to walk over a ward, and they should know that's Nikat, not Milky Way, because of the times of camp spawning on the top side. Wako and Xiaoxia. Good lane prio early on. Speak up, can't hear you. Shut up, Tio. Thank you. Man, Vasu with a 22-month resub. Hook landing up in this top side. Nikat going to get ignited. I don't think that's going to land to a kill, because he does have that flash. But still, Nikat forced out of lane. Xiaoxia. Key part of this composition for Ultra Prime. He does have setup for a lot of the damage coming through from Ultra Prime, whether that's a hook or anything else. Junhao, ooh, he sees the... He's going to go for a Q steal. One of the best stealers in the game. Lee Sin, Prince of Thieves. Q's going to come over the wall. Oh, there we go. Junhao finds Milky Way as well. He's been tanking the dragon. This is why the Lee Sin works. Shockwave comes through. Is it enough? No, it's not. Milky Way is a starless sky. And RNG lose the dragon and lose their jungler. Junhao. I mean, Milky Way, move over. There's a new kid on the block. Oh, that's just so classy, isn't it? And this is why we said, hey, maybe there's some value to this whole Lee Sin shtick. Tongyuan and Jachi both losing their flashes. Sorry, I missed something there. I had to go close the door. My bad. Oopsies. What happened top lane? Do we actually see that? Do we actually get a replay of that? Can we get the replay of that? Ah, this is what happened. So I didn't miss it. I was thinking, damn, I missed something while I was closing the door. So Wacko loses a lot of HP, slow onto Jachi, dodges out on that Q. Is it a Q flash attempt? I don't think it... Oh, maybe it would kill here. Oh, he gets the kill there too. I just completely missed that. Jachi, this is such a big AD carry diff series too. Jachi, incredible game in that first one with the Jhin. And Wacko, just flash early, buddy. Just flash early. Junhao is just butter. Milky Way is churned, I swear. I want to see how much Junhao can do in this Lee Sin. This is the kind of game, this is the kind of montage Lee Sin game. Hook eat out of by Jachi. Does take the damage, of course. I've heard it's harder for Chinese people to learn Mandarin than for Germans to learn Mandarin. Really? Huh. Oh wait, hang on, is that meant to be a joke? I mean, I know that there's so many different regional dialects of Chinese as well, which makes it very hard to figure out, you know, particularly if you live in different cities, different regions. So one of the reasons why Knight is apparently very hard to understand for a lot of Chinese speakers, because he has such a rural accent. Kind of surprising to me that Yagao doesn't have that as much, because of course they come from the same city. That's the big thing, was the Pingxian. Oh, Niket, have you been counting minions? I think he has. Yeah, they've been counting minions. They've been counting minions. Tongyuan refers to a glutinous. Yes, I do, and I know that the Tongyuan thing, pretty sure that's also used, you eat them in certain certain festivals and stuff, certain holidays, right? I'm pretty sure. So for a while we had like 3 different people with names after dumplings and stuff. So there's Xiaolongbao, fairly common one, you'll get them in a lot of places, and then there's a Tongyuan, which I'm pretty sure is kind of like a sticky rice ball kind of thing as well. This is the kind of thing which I really want to learn more about, because I feel like, yeah. When are you guys coming to China to watch some games? I would love to come to China to watch some games some point. I went to China in the summer of 2023 to cast the LPL finals. That was my first LPL finals. I've cast 3 of them in terms of the official broadcast. Technically 4, I guess, if you count this spring as well. First split. But I'd love to come to China to watch some League of Legends games. And honestly, I want to go back to China to have some goddamn hot pot. Chinese hot pot is one of the great miracles of modern food. If you ever go out to Xi'an, which is WE's home arena, wonderful hot pot in that city. Had a great time out there. Also the barbecued meats and stuff they do there, absolutely superb. We'll say, it's a landlocked city. Maybe don't get the seafood there. That was a running joke that we had. It's like, we've gone out for barbecued meat. Why would you buy fish? It's a different thing. Dialect, not an accent. Okay, dialect. Good to know. Good to know. Not an accent. Okay. I believe Sam's come back bearing coffee. It might be in time to see some blood on the top side. Maybe there's a hook there. Oh, Niket does have level 6 and does have the ultimate. He doesn't get to use it. Junhao absolutely slaps him down. And this is why I was excited for this Lee Sin pick. Junhao is the best player on Ultra Prime right now. And they gave him a skill-intensive pick against a 0-tank team as an AD assassin fighter. He goes back, gets a 10-minute eclipse. Junhao, I want to see how many montage plays he can pull off.
I warned you all last game saying, look, this guy on things like the Theory, on things like the Shinzao, and things like the Lee Sin, this guy knows exactly his limits. He's so good at these styles of champions. And in a game like this, Al calls it perfectly. So many... It's a target-rich environment. There we go. That's how we'll phrase that. Everyone here is going to have a bad time into the Lee Sin if you've got good hands. Of course, there's outplayability for a lot of those RNG members, so not always going to be simple, but you can always threaten pretty much anyone on the Rift if you get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and against this kind of team, you don't have Leona to instantly stun you. You don't have Poppy or Talia to stop your dashes. I think this is a Lee Sin montage game. Okay. I mean, if he doesn't do it, well, sucks to be him. But I think on his form, I think he can do it. On the other side, though, you do have potential of Milky Way resets. If you slip up, or a teammate of Ultra Prime slips up, what happens if Varus dies and you get a reset there and suddenly an arrow flies into your back as well? It's actually more of a problem if the Nautilus dies. If the Nautilus dies, you get a reset. People forget that on Viego, on the other side of the coin of the Lee Sin kind of hype carry, whatever. Oh, not hype carry, you know, the assassin kind of plays. if you kill someone with very good basic abilities, Viego immediately gets to use them, then reset back into his basic form. Junhao's going to take the dragon there. I think this jungle matchup is so exciting to watch here in this series.
Should be very, very entertaining. I think Milky Way on the Viego, certainly a champion had a lot of success on in the past, as Xiaoxia lands a good hook there on Xiaoxia mid-trade counter step, but doesn't really get all that much out of it, just forces a delayed reset. Niket is faking being an Ezreal right now.
Yeah.
Better auto attack range, don't blame him.
You can't get maximum auto attack range, I will say. There's some stuff.
Your attack speed.
No, it doesn't. In fact, it stays the same. In fact, one of the most broken things you could do. This is a very sneaky thing to do. You can hide as a cannon minion and then just go full crit AD Nico, and you'll just attack. People are like, why is this cannon completely one-shotting me? And you're like, oh, hang on. And the cannon minion just does despicable things to you. Also, you can deny tank tower shots with cannons as well, which is really nice for dives.
I think it was Caps who showed us we could do that. Or at least the most famous, I remember him doing that and going, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yes.
When the rework first came on through.
Although a lot of that was actually done by, I know APA was a big kind of big person who was innovating, well, learning and then innovating and kind of spreading that as well in terms of if you turn into a minion, runes don't apply to you. So, for instance, if you land a Nautilus hook onto a minion Nico, it doesn't apply Aftershock in this laning phase. Or if you're against the Varus, it won't trigger the Comet, it won't trigger Scorch. So if you do hold on to that, you can kind of reactively click onto the minion icon if you know you're not going to dodge it or whatever, and you can end up playing around that. It's one of the ways that you could use Nico to beat Akali in a 1v1 laning phase, because Akali would try and use stuff like fleet footwork. You could deny that as well. And also, if you threw out your Q and then turn into a minion, you would not activate Doran's shield. Super broken. Some super broken stuff around that. So, yeah, there's a lot to be learned on that champion.
Rude abuse.
As opposed to just also landing really good engages and landing good poke. This champion is uniquely complex. And I like that. I feel like we've had less... We've had, like, more stupid complexity. Hang on, Shashi's gonna die here.
Well, be in a dangerous position. He's got the flash and perfect execution to work with. To the other side, though, Saber in danger, goes down. Nice kill. The Milky Way can't get the return in terms of stealing the body, but survives from the turret aggro on the other side. Xiaoxia burns the flash, but is alive.
Yeah, I was wondering whether Junhao would actually go for the flash instead of just looking for the Q. Gets the flash and says, okay, I'm not going to risk anything. However, that does mean it is a 1 for none across the map.
I also actually call Ambassador's ult perfect execution, not public execution.
Because we were just talking about it.
Yeah, I know, and I was baited in, and like that is the power of what's it, subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
Also, I might be just a bit silly.
Sometimes, Sam. Sometimes being silly, it's important here. I feel like being silly is part of the zeitgeist of now. I'm trying to practice my German at the same time, Zeitgeist. It's the spirit of the times, but in German, basically. It's a fun one. We actually just use that in English.
Oh, don't have. I just found
it's the Nico.
It's the Nico clone, yeah.
Ultra Prime Macro is bad. I mean, I think it's okay to look for the Lee Sin against the 1v1 there. I think that's fine. It's just protecting the dive in that way was very hard to do, and I wonder whether Saber should just back it off. Now, this is a problem. Saber! Does get out. But I mean,
no Excalibur needed.
However, kind of, apparently Saber's voice actor went to the grave of King Arthur. Obviously, it's like an honorary one, and apologized for Fate Stay Night's impact on the legacy of King Arthur. It's the voice actor of King Arthur
fantastic.
In the anime series Fate Stay Night actually went to go apologize to King Arthur and said, I'm sorry, I was just doing my job. It's going to be a back from Showdown going through. He'll get himself to presumably something like a Phage. Hang on, we'll see. Oh, on vision.
Oh my god, that's going to be the get slightly in danger. We'll get to pop loss. Just out of range. It's a short range water, but does the work. Lands another Sonic Wave. Niket now in danger. Gets brought down. Look who else is here. Of course, it's the Scion and the North.
It's the montage!
And Milky Way's in danger. Oh, he flipped forward. One hop. And Milky Way going to forward. Surely go down to an early good. But wait, the Shockwave is here. And then the turnaround getting tricky as Junhao went for the montage and got... Well, he's going to have to cut that one early, isn't he, is the honest answer. As Yijang now has to get on out as a good teleport in from Tangyu and spares some blushes.
Oh, that's the slap back. It's a montage, but for who? Milky Way makes it out alive, so close to getting 2 or 3 kills, but Tang Yuan teleported down early and makes the difference there. That should have been a clean sweep up for that Lee Sin. I don't know what happened. I feel like Junhao left that target for someone else to kill, and the other teammates must have just said, oh, you know, we can do it. And then they couldn't finish off Milky Way. Big overestimation there, or underestimation of the survivability of RNG. And Tonywan cleans up.
Saber at least gets most of this tower top side. Might in fact be able to finish it, which would be pretty good into the 5 grubs, and that gets first turret over to Ultra Prime, which is in the end feats of strength. So lots of flashy stuff happening on the bot side, but Saber at least does get serious value in that top lane regardless.
Yeah. Oh man, but every time we see these plays, when there are 3 people on the screen, I feel like the Lee Sin is Exodia, Niket doesn't have flash, and once again, this is what the Lee Sin is here for. If that's a Leona, much harder to do that. There is no tank on the side of RNG, and Junhao couldn't clean up on bot side, is still 3-1 now.
Wacko now given free time in mid lane, partly as a result of not being able to walk easily towards this lane, and they might be able to claim a second turret, Ultra Prime, in a matter of moments, find themselves 2 turrets and an extra kill.
I also really like that they share the gold between, normally I'd just give it straight to the Varus, but I think in this game you give as much gold to your Lee Sin as possible. I think Lee Sin is going to be gearing up for some Chinese TikTok plays here, folks. So this, I love this play. So goes in, baits out the ult, and short ward hops, so he doesn't go too far away to not continue the fight. If he ward hops any further back, it's harder to hit that Q. Teleport does come through at this point, and they don't see it coming. Maybe a mistake on the other side of the map to think that they had that for free. Then what happens here? The kick comes through, and then I think EGN had to turn around and kill Milky Way. I don't know why both Xiaoxia and EGN both kind of split apart from that. I think EGN actually makes a mistake not charging that Q onto the Viego, but also Junhao going too far as well.
Junhao does now have, after getting that extra goal, get a Sundered Sky, and you know, just done all the tricks. Hops back in that one, Q's towards 1 to hop further with the ward up to get in range to kick Milky Way back, who just ulted away. Like, the problem solving, the decision making tree on Lee Sin is always an interesting one, because I had this conversation I remember with Peter Dunn at one point, and it went something along the lines of, look, Lee Sin is a champion that scales with player ability. People used to say that Lee Sin falls off a cliff, and to an extent, he somewhat does, in the fact that team fights get quite hard to execute on Lee Sin. But if you are Canyon, in this game, if you are Junhao, and you have that ability to flow down that chart and be creative and astute with the decisions you make at any given moment, Lee Sin has more choices than nearly any other champion in the jungle in terms of how you can play, how to fight.
Yeah, and there are some games where that's very apparent, and there's some where it's just, it is effectively impossible. Yesterday we saw a game of Azir versus Talia and Poppy. Very similar situation. You're never really able to shuffle in the same way, and you can't really stand and fight in the same way either, because the Talia shove is in a dangerous range for you. Junhao, I think in this game, and this is why we mentioned it all the way from draft, you're probably sick of hearing it at this point. Every character on the other side is someone who can kill. No one's tanky enough to survive a Lee Sin, and there's no one to stop him from doing that either, really, unless you have very, very, very clutch shockwaves and pop blossoms and stuff like that. This is the kind of game where you have to pay so much attention, and that's a problem for RNG, because you have to pay attention to that. That is also while they've got arrows raining down on them. That's the extra damage coming through. You have EGN, who you don't have that much ability to kill right now. I think Ultra Prime, this is the more I think about it, this is a pretty huge draft gap. The way that RNG now win is basically just through getting a reset onto the Viego and hoping for the best, I think.
It's that, or maybe Xiaoxi becomes unmanageable in the side lane.
Maybe a good enough shockwave.
Yeah, and I suppose Jachi at 3 items I think is going to be a bit annoying, because again, your access to him is very reliant on going and hitting some big skill shots, and if Jachi's got good hands, he could theoretically kind of take over where the Lee Sin started.
Man, I just opened my phone and checked Twitter again, and I just saw that Xin Zhao play from game 1. I mean, Junhao, man. I was right. I was flaming this guy for game 1, and honestly, he deserved it. He was not good in split 1. Imagine telling the Ultra Prime fans, and yes, there are some in chat. I have to say, I'm a fan of Ultra Prime too. I've got a lot of love for them being the underdog story. Imagine telling them that, you know, a month ago, this guy's actually gonna be carrying this team. And he absolutely has been doing that today in such an important series. They are 1-0 down. I have to say, most of the time I look at a Nirvana series and I'm like, I kind of want it to just be 2 games. Let's get on to the better games, the better teams. If we're playing like this, where it's scrappy, it means a lot. Reminder, bottom 2 in this group is out for the year. I want to see them. I want to see it. I like seeing this kind of emotional weight of the matchup with also a lot of scrap and some player individual ability on display.
Exactly that. I think a lot of these players are people we have expectations of as they develop as players. The macro may not be quite there. Some of the decision-making in lane might not be quite there. Atakan have restarted, so we'll stop waxing lyrical about Nirvana and maybe turn our eyes to this. Atakan's going down. That control ward hasn't denied the vision on this, and all the while, they're saying, cool, we're not going to be able to fight that, but we can look to put multiple members elsewhere. Flash there now, just an arcane shift. Hangman's still top side. She's going to run walk behind him. won't quite go towards it. There's still all these petals on the floor. Saber flashes
Hit
away.
the flowers, goddammit!
They're going to steal all the flowers away. John Howe and Saber now in a 2v1. Pop Lasson comes on down. Flash on forward. Gets a big chunk onto Saber, who does not get to stay alive for all that long. And the cat will fall, though. Burst on up, and Saber remains unbroken. Xiao Shi begin to Drake out, step away. Looking to get some more as John Howe will hop back out with a safeguard towards that Scion. And he gets back towards that field of flowers. Milky Way steals a few. Down a member here are RNG. Teleports now coming on, and Saber can return with his HP bar restocked and refueled. Jachi well out of that decimating smash.
But once again, Junhao able to go in and out of the fight. RNG don't have a great ability to pin someone from Ultra Prime into the fight, and I think they're really struggling with that now. I mean, you can see before that, Tongyuan trying to get a clutch shockwave onto Saber, trying to pin him back into the play, get an easy start to the play for RNG. They have the flash there. I don't think RNG can really play when Ultra Prime have their flashes available. Never mind just Lee Sin even without that. I think that he's going to be a problem regardless. Dragon spawning now. This would be Infernal Soul for Ultra Prime. We haven't even talked about that because it feels like it's been way more about the skirmishes. Whilst all this has been happening, Ultra Prime have also been stacking dragons, and they come back out onto the map. They don't have control of Bot River just yet, but the Scion makes it much easier to go for this.
Unstoppable force comes on forward, and Niket is immediately just annihilated. That's the term I should be looking for here. Down a support, nothing to be done. Cyanol, enough of an engage tool.
Yeah, that Nico has been just assassinated by the Lee Sin over and over. Junhao knows that's the easy target. Hard to take a dragon away from a Lee Sin too because of the Qs, and Tongyuan gets caught looking for the play.
No way to save him with a command protect. There is not enough protection. It's not a Magnum E button, and now they're going to do some damage as they try to go to the backside. And once again, Junhao with the Dragon's Rage finds another wonderful insect somewhere out there. The godfather of LPL junglers looks down and smiles.
Blindness is no impairment versus a smelly enemy, and it smells like sticky rice desserts. That Tongyuan, so tasty in the mouths of Ultra Prime, getting themselves the Infernal Soul alongside a great set of quick, snappy engage plays.
That was really, really clean. It's another montage from Junhao. Did it in a losing game, doing it in a winning one now. 6-1 and 3. He's involved in every kill the team has gotten.
Dude, just give us just a POV stream of Junhao. I'd cast that instead. You know what? Could actually do that for a future game if people are interested. Could be a thing that we do. Ooh. Maybe one day.
I could be down.
We'd have to go find the Billy links for the player POVs. But you know what fun that would be. Tongyuan, I think he was feeling really stressed at this point. You have to get a shockwave onto the Lee Sin, I think, to deny the fight, maybe get a reset, and then actually Milky Way could be the Lee Sin killer at that point. That kick is so slick. Junhao is on a mission today.
That was very, very clean indeed. Backs away, he's already got the steel caps, got a Hex Drink now in inventory as well, so he's not afraid of this Orianna or this Nico, either the Sundered Sky, the Eclipse. So if he gets to hit a single skill shot to the shields, the heals are going to be so annoying.
Says a lot that he doesn't even need to go towards the Merc Treads because there's just no CC to be worried about. Typically, Lee Sin is definitely a player that goes towards that. A little bit afraid of the Fog of War now. They need to bring some more people onto the map, and Varus not being there to contribute a little bit of extra damage. Something that Ultra Prime paying attention to, which is good. You know, you are ahead of the game. You have the Infernal Soul. That doesn't mean you're doing things for free. Junhao has no flash. Maybe something that RNG can... Oh, Q lands on Tonga, that's a problem.
Oh boy, Shockwave pulls Junhao back a little bit. Big probably gets used as well. Gonna get some damage on Junhao, kicks one away. But will not get that further out. Cannot ward up to safety. Big pick down on the Kari jungler. Saber though, looking for room prisons. Do not pass go. Do not pick up 350 gold. The round warp to continue chasing. They're turning on to Wacko though, who is left behind. He's got a triple kill somewhere out of nowhere. Jachi hopping away. They get another. Xiaoshu needs to keep running away. Landing some Mystic shots. The range advantage here now pretty good. The problem is, you've still got damage and the big front line in the way. RNG could have done worse there.
Absolutely. You know, they do get the shutdown onto that Lee Sin. What ended up happening there is that I think Junhao thought he was safe with the ward hop. Of course, it's the only way he can get out of that from the Ambassador. He kind of gets dragged back into it because it kind of happens midway through the animation. Watch this again. Watch what happens with this Ambassador. You know, the Shockwave comes through. Look, the Q lands on Tongyuan. You have the Infernal Soul. You have Eclipse. I think this is still a good chunk. Look what happens to the ward hop.
Oh, nice.
That, I don't think it's a bug. But that's definitely something which is not expected to, when you're trying to ward hop away from the Ambassador. It kind of gets pinged out of it anyway. Thinks he can get away. Not quite. Does go down. And of course, without that Lee Sin, much harder to clean up.
Proverbs of League of Legends, number 25. Second displacement shall take precedent. And of course, picked up mid over his own displacement with that ward hop. by the public execution, you get pulled back. It's how it works in League of Legends, where you get Spider Naught things.
Okay, well, no, that's a little bit different. That's actually closer to the Poppy E. This one's another weird thing. Look, we can just have a talk all day about how weirdness happens with weird stuff in that. Because effectively, if you kind of just get caught and you're still moving, you'll get pinged back because the game has already registered you are caught by the skill shot.
At this point,
also works if you dash too late into a Poppy E, you will still get pulled back to the initial line of the displacement. Shasha needs to be careful. There are still resets from the Viego. Baron started up. We'll see whether Ultra Prime can get themselves another one of those montage skirmish plays.
Little note for some fun stuff coming up later on. He pays one of our 1v1ers later on, according to JDG Scouts Best. That'll be a fun time.
FPX, they did take down Weibo the other day. They did, however, lose to... They lost to another team. Anyway, whatever. There's the biggest side engage. That's more important, isn't it?
Chains of Corruption, Flash Bomb Blossom onto the entire team, but there's just not enough follow-up. It looks another kick! John Howe! He's looking to go for the heavyweight belt. Look at these kicks to the head.
Everyone's asking how John Howe is doing, but no one's asking why John Howe is doing this disgusting amount of damage to RNG. What have they done to deserve this? The fight continues and Best are trying their best.
John Howe, Milky Way does get a reset onto the north, but that's not the tankiest one. They get the public excuse to the backside, but they get another. The reset's just not there. Milky Way killed down before he can repress the R button. And Ultra Prime move back towards the Baron.
John Howe is a practitioner of deja vu. It's the feeling of being kicked in the head this way before. 8-2-8. John Howe, the main character of this game.
Terry Pratchett out there will be smiling at that one. Temporal Monks definitely doing their work. Let's have a look at this again. It looks like an incredible ult from Niket, but it's support Nico, and there's no follow-up.
It's not, because Jachi's had to E backwards, the Viego's not in the play, and Tongyuan doesn't have the shockwave anymore. It's already been used, but also, you know, Junhao doesn't take any damage from this. Hops over the wall, gets another kick in. Xiaoshu does get damage later into this play. I will say, I think that Xiaoshu and Egen make a big mistake here, taking the fight in the 2v2 when their team is just not on the same page. This is the kind of play which will lose you the game against a better team, legitimately. They are lucky to get away with it. They do manage to damage the Nautilus enough with a Q, dies midway through that ultimate. Maybe could have got multiple resets and had a Viego moment. That is actually opened up because Xiaoshu and Egen go a little bit too far. RNG do actually a pretty decent punish there.
It's about 0.2 seconds there before that ult completes. The execute comes through and you steal the body and things get very interesting, but not to be found. And Ultra Prime's lead big enough right now that a 5v2 is just a difficult possibility here between the top jungle of RNG and the rest of the squad. This Lee Sin now 3,000 gold ahead. Get the pop loss and down, but it's only really onto Silence. Trying out to make sure that Nico definitely isn't doing much of that one. As it goes, Milky Way can't get the kill. The shockwave after isn't bad, but there's still a zombie to work for public. He's the backside. He's now bleeding. Is they going to get some keep damage going on? Xiaoshu eats so much damage for the Infernal Soul. And Saber is once again untouched. Room Prison comes on down to the overloader there. These systems have too much electricity in them. It's too much to work with. That one just wide, but the spell flux enough. A hop away from the piercing arrow. Tongyuan and Jachi alone survive.
We are getting a game 3 here. Ultra Prime will crack open the base, and RNG, I don't see how they fight their way back. Well, I say that I don't know how they do it. There is actually an Elder available. Game is still throwable, we'll put it that way. But Ultra Prime, much better showing here. John Howe, given the skill-intensive champion, and he's been absolutely styling on RNG. Every so often, a Chinese jungler just finds a massive run of form, and it's just captivating. It's captivating. Now, this fight does get caught into the choke point. It is a choke point versus Ezreal. Perma-firing Qs. There's a shockwave involved too. Xiaoshu gets to turn around, but the damage is so ridiculous from the Infernal Soul on that Lee Sin kind of popping that first target. If Lee Sin gets any skill shot hit, you just immediately lose someone. Elder now started. RNG, this is last chance saloon. You have to look either for an Elder steal or a reset. Slim pickings.
You said it though. The term is still throwable. And this is Ultra Prime. They've been known to do that once or twice across this year and across their team's history. Egen, though, takes absolutely no damage right now. Teleport in. They're going to be able to play this. They've got some wards down to RNG at least, so despite the discrepancy, the easiest for Ultra Prime to just get into the river and sit there. Wacko, though, sent on a journey towards mid lane, saying, if you're going to contest around this, I will just take inhibitors.
Okay, Elder, started up by RNG. I think that Ultra Prime are letting them do this a little too easily. Here comes the Realm Warp trying to open up another angle, forcing them off of this, and Ejin goes into the front line.
It means they're not on the Eldritch, down 3k HP. The damage back onto Tangy when it's dangerous, trying to get something back. Smokey on an angle. The Shockwave is decent, but they've just blown up the Ori. John now into the backside now, trying to reset. The kick on through absolutely everyone. Breaks through the fourth floor, and everybody at home is suddenly slapped in the face by the majesty of that Lee Sin and Ultra Prime's victory.
Oh, the kick heard around the world. Chunhao, 3-man Dragon's Rage. And yeah, Echo and Sam, wouldn't blame me if you felt that one through your screens. Ultra Prime, bring it to game 3. RNG, drawn to 1-on-1.
I am so impressed with John. How we've seen moments of this, the Neferi games, the attempt on the Shinzao. How often has it led to naught? Here against RNG, it will still be a win. It will still be a take on to that game 3. Keep going in the series. RNG shell-shocked off the back of the Blind Monk's rage.
Maybe lose the lane. Renata wins you the lane. It's going to be much harder to play, though. I don't think either team has an easy team to play. I think RNG have better go buttons. However, now their go buttons are into, you know, Yorick, who's actually very good at standing his ground and fighting. You have the Impale and the tankiness of the Skarner to peel people off your way. You have the Xayah ult, and now you have the Renata ult too. No, not the domestic dispute bot lane. The Xayah versus the Rakan. Shut up. Oh, shut up. That's too good. That is too good. All right. Game 3 to determine the single matchup we have left between RNG and Ultra Prime. There is no double round robin. This is the last game you'll see between these two in this stage. Single best of 3 round robin, which might weigh on their fates going into the next split in the next year. You finish bottom 2 and some options from Ultra Prime. They'll have to puzzle their way through it. We're going to game 3.
Buckle up, folks. Let's listen to those chants.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他们。
RNG is still a solid fan base after all these years. RNG spiking in that mid game there makes some sense to me when you've got that Aurora, Wukong, Jace kind of combo. It does tend to spike when you hit those 2 items. Not like you scale exceptionally badly, but you look on the other side and you go, man, that Skarner, Tilia, Xayah, area denial gets a lot harder to play around when you have to fight around objectives. Especially if you're the ones forcing into the pits and rivers. The other side, of course, as well, you've still got Yujing on that Yorick, able to split push away, and we finally saw a Yorick win in the LPL the other day.
And this is the matchup I've been waiting to see it into. If there is a matchup which Jace loses, it is versus
horrible.
Yorick. You see, he's gone towards the Conqueror because actually he needs to stand and fight. You can't actually just poke him out with the Grasp. If he goes for the Grasp, then he just trades, you know, a couple of autos for Ejin throwing the goop at him. I can't even remember what it's called. But,
Morning Mist.
Morning Mist. If he throws that, it's very bad. Right, is it going to be a handshake? What's the plan here? The E3 2 of them? All right, that's the good start.
Get the loyalty program on the shield, and the damage back is looking pretty good. Shash will take a bit of a chunk back. In the end, still a 1 trade at the level 1 from Ultra Prime.
Oh, yeah, they had to heal. They had to heal to get the experience from the first wave. That's why it was so important to stand in that tri-brush. Athelos is not a champion at level 1. He has the switch, which is also known as phase, by the way. Technically, he has an ability. Name another E landing onto Jan. She gets the auto attack after.
Not a phase, Mom.
Oh my god, he'd say that if he could. But that's actually really rude, actually. I don't want me to be mean to me, people. But yeah, Wacko and Xiao Shep, getting control of that wave could be very important. The only reason you can't speak, by the way, I'm pretty sure is because he takes, which is not apparent in his gameplay at all. He takes poison to get access to these weapons. It's just not apparent at all.
It's just supposed to be sort of like access to his sister in the spirit realm or wherever she is, isn't she?
Yeah, there was a ritual to basically like get the celestial weapon-y stuff. Which is actually kind of cool. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But just like, I don't get how he's a hitman. I don't really understand that.
It's supposed to be the weapon of the faithful. He's definitely got some inspirations from Agent 41 or whatever his name is from Hitman. Don't think he's got a barcode in his neck though. Maybe he is a barcode killer. Who knows?
Ah, what a... Well, you do have Riven Main on your team.
I was trying to say I was going to go that route.
For those, I actually have a TikTok about this on from ages ago now. You can go scroll back and find it, where I was talking about the legend of Barcode Killer, Faker's Season 3 Worlds solo queue account, in which he schooled the world on how to play Riven mid. Oh, so broken back then. He learned the fast Q cancel mechanics, which was scary as hell.
47 is the agent number. Thank you very much, Harold. Still never played a Hitman game. I do remember watching the Chuckle Brothers
do a
live action Hitman sequence where when there was hype coming in from the new Hitman game, they basically got a load of celebrities to get on a walkie-talkie and basically direct a real-life Agent 47 around a manor
in a live-action environment. Yeah.
And so there was the Duckle brothers going to me, to you, to me, to you, to hide bodies in a cupboard. It was quite entertaining.
Yeah, sadly, Barry Chuckle's passed now.
Yeah.
But, well, still fun memories they've lasted with. Bot lane, seeing the control from the Xayah and the Renata. This is why they picked the Renata over the Leona. You win the lane like this, and it gives you some more breathing room. Ultra Prime, don't hang on a second, catching the dodge procession. This is where you need to be very careful as the Jace.
Pretty miserable. You don't really do a lot of damage to the ghouls either. Your AoE nerfed against them as well in recent weeks as well.
The big thing, actually the AoE, that's been nerfed. The bigger thing is actually auto attacks don't one-shot them now. So you used to go through your hyper shot and you'd be able to auto then cancel and you'd be able to kill a couple of them. Look, this matchup was bad for Jace before. Now you can't clear through the ghouls, which can also block your shot blast back. It makes it even worse. I don't know whether we'll see the Yorick remain past. There are some nerfs coming into him in the next match. I don't know whether we'll see that remain for this matchup, but for now, really, really nasty into the Jace.
John Howe on a lane gank angle here as well, potentially. Maybe look for an ingress into that lane, but we'll just back away, having just made sure to shield the Yorick on the shot before they go for this reset, especially with Tang Yuan on a roam up here as well.
Yeah, Aegean, control over this lane. Look, this lane gets worse for Jace as it goes on. you get control early, you will get the push, and he did that. But of course, eating that bad trade means he needs to back off. The biggest problem for Jace, this was mentioned in Champions Select 2, is Jace doesn't have sustain. When Jace has been very, very powerful at points in the past, is when Eclipse gave you Omnivan. And that was just ridiculously strong for him. So he can actually sustain through a part of the game where normally, you know, as a tank, you take a good trade and then you could sustain up as someone, you know, like a Renekton or, you know, Sion's passive or something like that. And you'd be able to outlast Jace if they made a mistake and made Jace a very skill-intensive champion because you had traded well, but you couldn't afford to take damage either. Now when you're against something like that Yorick, it's like, well, you don't have sustain, they out-sustain you, and you get trapped into play, so your mistakes become that much more deadly on the other side. You see that Xiaoshu's actually going towards the lethality build, because I think he feels like going towards a bruiser build, you don't win against bruiser builds against the Yorick, because too much percent HP, you need to be able to burst them out somehow, some way. We do have the lane swaps coming through, Jachi on top side, Grub started up by RNG.
Of course, we've seen a lot of tank and bruise Jace over this year. Well, it allowed him to win into tanks in a way that sometimes the base stat differentials would get tricky and armor would get built up and he just didn't do anything until 3 items, whereas those Black Cleaver first builds...
Dragon might actually get contested and it kept missing that knockup. Dragon, is it going to get finished off? No, it's not actually. It's going to be the one grub on top side and now it's a leash over on the bot side as Milky Way quickly moves over.
It does reset somewhat here, can't quite hold it in range. It should still be a secure there as a grub and then the dragon's taken and then back towards that top side, we will see the likes of Jachi go, who did initially rotate top side, I think, to allow RNG to contest around those dragons. Milky Way should have excused him.
Oh, so close! Junhao, try to add another clip to his montage. This, I'm so close to getting it, but fails.
And Milky Way doesn't burn the smite, means he can save it for the grubs still to go and fight those. So now, flash down, and the smite unsuccessful. As the dragon goes down the way of Milky Way on RNG. Jachi now with the Severum Crescendum blender combo can onslaught your way to a very swift amount of damage and can be pretty tricky for you, Jeng, if you stepped up too far here. For all you are a Yorick, if you get in range for that Severum Crescendum, you still won't be able to Juaco hit with the accelerated shock blast. Also, not enjoying his top lane experience.
No, especially with the Dirk first item. Yeah, kind of hurts. That early, the early lethality, not something you see as much from the Jace nowadays. RNG winning the objective battle, getting the full house of grubs from the first set, and then also the dragon. This is a good start for them. And also, in this kind of game, it's not the kind of game where Junhao's going to be able to pick it up by the scruff of the neck like the last two. This one, I feel like the draft from RNG has denied Junhao the individual agency he has been using to put Ultra Prime into good spots.
I just realised something else.
Yeah.
Yorick is an Elden Ring character.
Okay.
He has a maiden.
Oh, God.
That's what Touch Graves.
Oh, no.
That's what it is.
We have gone... Oh, my God. Well, no, he's not maidenless anymore.
Well, most of the Tarnished do, in fact, have a maiden. It's just the more main character Tarnished doesn't.
L plus ratio plus ghouls plus actually has a maiden.
Yeah,
plus,
that's it.
Plus Touch Graves.
Plus Touch Graves, exactly. And Graves they go, no, please don't do that.
Not unless he says it's okay, folks. Somewhere out there's a very, very... Somewhere out there's a very jealous, twisted face. Sorry, Tobias. Well, questionable tangent aside. Ultra Prime, looking for their first real inroad in this game.
Does that make Jace an Elden Lord? One of the people you were killing to get a hold, like pick shards of the Elden Ring?
That raises many questions.
Jace made quite an entertaining Elden Ring boss. 2 different forms.
Yeah, true. Oh my god, he form shifts. Oh my god.
Exactly.
You haven't even seen his final form. God, we're learning so much here. I did watch a video the other day. Can you beat Dark Souls 1 only using miracles? Turns out, yes, but why would you? That lightning spear runs out of damage eventually. You know, I've always liked the aesthetics of. Very fun thing about it, Dark Souls, is that it's effectively a Japanese game studio mirroring, making a game on European aesthetics.
Yeah.
And you know, often it's kind of things like when a Western studio makes something with Japanese aesthetics, like, yo, just let them do it, they're better. I have to say, recent years, I feel like that's flipped on its head a little bit. We've actually been very good at kind of trading appreciation for each other's aesthetics. It's very cool.
That's very true. I'll also note, for those of you who are into that kind of thing, there's a phenomenal set of cosplay videos that came out a month or so ago from a French armor maker, and he made a load of...
Are you kidding me?
Full clean armor sets and Dark Souls 2 armor sets, and basically sent guys in these armor sets walking at Cologne Cathedral.
Oh, I did see that.
Which is one of the most famous Gothic bits of architecture in the world.
It has
a lot of those
3 cages with skeleton. Well, the skeleton's been removed. Nikat maybe looking for a play on mid lane. Does he go for the ult and the flash? You have the cycle on here. Oh, save it. Got to be careful.
Oh, good flash required. The quickness not quite in range now. Gets turned around on. Should be okay. We'll get out from on top of the Unraveled Earth. Again, you can only get stunned by the Unraveled Earth once per cooldown of it.
It's actually a really important piece of tech. Sometimes you'll see people build Banshees so they can dash into the E, so if the flick comes after, they're not stunned. There was a really fun play from Knight versus Rookie last spring.
I remember that one.
It was very, very cool.
I learned about that interaction, in fact.
Very, very cool. So if you manage to spell shield the first flick, well, the first actual chance where you would go through it, you won't get stunned for the second one after.
He's not a cinephile.
What? Oh, the flick.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
See? For those who don't know English slang, flick is a very American term for a movie.
Yeah, it is chick flick. It's like your, you know, stuff you go, the movies you go to with the gals. GM, waiting to really get ahead in this matchup. Look, again, this matchup gets better for the York as it goes on. Xiaoshu, crazy cat lady, on your screens, folks. It's not even in Italy. Wacko, controlling mid lane. Down a decent amount of CS though. I don't know how Jachi's. Well, I suppose maybe it was through the lane swap shenanigans. I didn't really track. Look, we were waxing lyrical about.
Xiaoshu ended up chunking out Wacko that one time.
Yeah.
With that possibly.
Yeah, you know, it turns out there are a lot of very interesting things to talk about in terms of the stakes and the history of these teams that sometimes moments like that can fall under the radar.
What stakes?
It's one of like those better meat ones, whatever they are now. You can make them without animals.
Do you think Aphelios is a vegan?
I don't know what logic would dictate that either way, Sam. I'm not gonna lie. I'd like to say I have some kind of empirical evidence. I have no idea. Grubs up. RNG moving towards them. Now, Ultra Prime would like to deny 6 grubs. Obviously, they would. I mean, Milko needs to be a little bit careful. No flash on Niket still. Hang on a second. Junhao going for a wall stun and they catch him in the handshake.
Oh, into the hostile takeover. Makes the Jachi's attacking Tangu and they blow up the Rakan who has nowhere to go. Great combo between Xiaoxia and Junhao.
That's really important because that means that's going to be not just even 5 grubs after RNG, it's just the 4. Ultra Prime, I think they would have been happy just taking the 1. Don't have to use that smite for the first one. Milky Way wants to try and smite for the last one, but can't quite get it. Has the Cyclone. I don't think this is the time you want to be going into the Maiden, though. Reminder, if that Maiden starts attacking you, you take more damage from the Yorick as well. It's a really big damage, and people forget about this. The drain happens, yes, but you also take more damage from his other stuff. Really nice. It's like almost having a press the attack on your ultimate. So hang on a second, that's a problem.
What the hell's going to be there? That's Xiaoshu in danger! Not quite in time!
This damage actually comes through from the Malignants, but it's not there quite in time. Tongyuan, who was so important to the earlier win in the series, loses his ult there, looking for a key play.
Oh, that would have been such a nice pickup. So now the ult is down, will not be available for this dragon. Can't interrupt the back either. RNG will still look to play this. Got a lot of other ults to work with, but that big team fight ult down. Still no quickness on the Cat. Worth noting though, of course, Junhao with no ult of his own on the Skarner probably wouldn't have the most fun walking forwards here. So we'll still likely beat that dragon with little look at a contest. Instead, we see Junhao pinging his way towards a top side Scuttle Crab and a potential invade into the jungle for some wards. removing some wards as well as we speak about it. There's a couple control wards down and about, spotting out Piscana on his journeys through the jungle.
Force off the top. This is a bit of a problem. If Jace doesn't feel like he can wave clear like this, they're teleporting up there too. I mean, he had to come back from this, but now the problem is, we are now going to see how much damage Yorick does to towers with just a Sheen and the Maiden. This is the
bonkening.
These towers die
Bonk.
very, very quickly. This is with 2 grubs.
Bonk.
You know, if we could... Hang on, this is going to be first turret to the other side, though. Okay, so on the other side, RNG do get first turret. However, look how quick that was from a higher HP there. I did bring over the other member, but still, I think that giving the gold over towards EGN is a very good thing. There will become a point where Yorick is almost uncontestable in the side lane. I don't think Aurora can do much about it. The problem with even playing ranged champions into Yorick is that if you get hit by the E, the ghouls start jumping at you, and it's a ton of damage to you. One of the biggest problems about Yorick on this patch is that I think something like 10% max health or current health damage comes out of that E, which is an incredibly high amount of damage for what is quite an easy to hit skill shot. That's before the ghouls jump at you too.
Yeah, of course. Yorick, with a lot of his changes, I remember watching Freak's video on it. Actually, highly recommend you do. It was a really interesting breakdown, and they did a wonderful job of getting the Council of Yoricks together, including Leopard and some of those other really big Yorick mains, to sort of talk about, like, how do we change Yorick to feel a little less cumbersome as a champion. And basically they found some ways to make him feel a little bit better in team fights in particular, and remove some of that split pushing strength a little later on. But it's meant on the whole he feels a lot nicer to play into champions that would have otherwise deleted his ghouls 1v1, and a little less binary as a kid.
We've got the Maiden again down towards this bot side. And again, look how quick these towers disappear here. Jace will be taking a tower on the top side, so again it is even out. I think RNG are doing the right thing here. There is a teleport, and it's the Yorick going up there, and that's the matchup which the Jace can't really do anything about. So it's not actually going to be a trade. I think RNG... I'm trying to think if this is the right decision here, whether it would have been better to just... No, I think you have to trade there, take a chunk out, and hopefully you can return to that at a later date. They have the feats of strength, that's not at question there. But the gold is very, very even, and the later this game goes, the more I have the worry that Ultra Prime will be able to sit on their laurels and just going to wait for Yorick to get huge value over the Jace. The thing which might change this is the next dragon. I think if RNG get the third dragon, this is fine. This is fine, because Ultra Prime at that point, they are forced to leave their safe kind of spots, sitting on their laurels, and go towards an objective, and they don't have the greatest aggressive tools. Milkway going to go towards this Herald. This is a fairly even game. You can see the strategic interplay here. RNG, if they get this Herald, maybe break up in that mid lane out of turret. That would change things quite a lot too.
You can use it to buy pressure on the map coming into the dragon, a minute and a half, 2 minutes as well, which can be a good timer on that. Hanging over the wall, Shadow Shit in danger. Quickness comes on through, use the battle dance onto the invisible Aurora to force a Renata ult there as well.
Aurora just auto-attacked her own ward.
Oh, with the hostile takeover?
I didn't even know that worked.
That's a thing?
That's something which I learned. Wall stun here, Niket, use that flash. Lucky to get away with that. That is apparently an interaction in League of Legends. Aurora, the Renata ult can get you to ward. Wait, do you get gold for killing your own wards, or does Renata get that? That's a thing?
I don't know. The other thing is, like, is there now a strategy where you all drop a couple wards nearby when you go berserk, stop ordering each other?
There's a priority list where you'll hit enemy champions first, and then if there's not that, there's allied creatures or neutral creatures, and then after that, I think it will be secondary stuff like just anything that you can auto attack within range, which I guess would apply to plants as well. And then of course, last thing on the priority is you and your allied champions, because if you're in a 1v1 and the Renata hits you with Berserk, they will just run at you and hit you with increased attack speed, so you can actually end up doing more damage to yourself.
Oops.
In that way at certain points. Right. What are the next things coming up? 45 seconds on the dragon.
Who gets the vision score? Good question.
Who gets the vision score? Who gets the gold? Typically, Renata gets the gold for stuff which happens with that. But I'd imagine most of it's distributed to Renata unless there's a bug in it.
Always possible.
Right, so 30 seconds on dragon. I don't think you have Renata ult, but I think Rakan ult comes back up. So I think the war of cooldowns, slightly in RNG's favor. You do have that one item spike from EGN. Of course, 2 item spikes almost being hit. It's a little bit early for it. You need to contest this as Ultra Prime. You need to contest this.
Doesn't look like the best weapon combo, but he's only got one last tick on that ultimate available, on that Infernum available. So this can be a 3-weapon switch combo if he looks for a big ult angle on in. Comes out between worlds, doesn't get that much value there though.
That I think is a miss. If you kill the Renata, I think that's fine, because you can kill them and then the cooldown coming back up of the hostile takeover does make a difference. The poke is coming in from RNG, and that's important. Ultra Prime have won the arm wrestle to get towards this dragon first, though, and that is important. If the Ultra Prime get this, it stops that soul point win condition coming through from RNG.
Herald dropped mid, as we said, it would be used as a counterweight, so now RNG can go, well, if you don't come in, we can play for this instead.
Okay, it's pretty high, so you will need to get some extra. I think Ultra Prime will give up mid turret to get the dragon. I think they take the risk and say, look, getting the dragon is more important here. Yes, losing the turret is bad. Smite doesn't come through from RNG. They don't look for the steal. It's tower for dragon, but I think Ultra Prime, I think they make this choice willingly, saying we don't want to be losing chance to play around side lanes later, especially when we're afraid of an Infernal Soul coming through.
I think that's a fair shout, and I think I'll also say that you saw Milky Way and Xiaoshu doing some body warding. They tried an accelerated shot class to see whether there was a bad smite on John Hao, and that's about as much as you want to commit there, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I do think RNG, they don't feel bad about this, though. Mid lane out of turret opens up a lot of opportunities around objectives. You have range advantage. You can use that Jace poke from further up in mid lane. Very important. Take the top lane out of turret. Gives that gold over towards Aurora, who now Tongyuan comes back onto the map with 2 items. Ultra Prime, their macro has not been that clean. I think RNG's has been better. This might end up being a bit of an issue for them. I think RNG have just opened up the map in an important way for themselves.
And there's the Yorick, the Catman himself. Looking towards a second item of his own. Not quite there yet. It will be an important break for the Yorick, as it often is.
Yeah, the thing about this kind of build is very expensive compared to Ghostblade is quite. I suppose it's a little cheaper than that. Triforce very expensive. Likely going towards. Well, actually, with that build there, we'll see what he ends up going towards. But we often see something like a Shojin. He might go towards a Deadman's instead with this kind of game.
A lot of AD, yeah.
Well, we'll see what he goes towards. But you can go towards Starax, Shojin. I mean, with the Wing Moonplate, might end up being towards that. APR, you know, funnily enough, I watched, do you remember Hetel, Japanese support player? He made a very funny YouTube video about Leandri's Yorick support, who just spam it on you on a 6-second cooldown and occasionally just kill you with it. Very broken. You just you put the baby cage down for the enemy AD carry, see what happens. 2 level, well, no, I thought it was 11 there, Shashi. That's not true. Even XP advantage in that top side.
Even fight then.
All ships fire at will, burn their mongrel hides. For those of you that missed that one cutscene in Halo 3. Halo 2 rather. Halo 2. It's really, really good. Go, sorry, it was Halo 3. It was above the it's not Delta Halo. The other one. Yeah, it was that one. It's very cool. Yeah. Alright, okay. Split map state. Playing across all 3 lanes. Again, RNG have typically been better at finding fights, punishing overextensions from Ultra Prime. I think Saber, caught alone in side lanes, has been bit of a habit. I like this, by the way. Leashing the blue buff for Jun Hao to catch up in farm. He's been falling behind a little bit in terms of that XP. You know, about 4 or 5 camps behind Milky Way as it stands, and that's important. Milky Way has kind of been schooled in this series so far, giving him a platform. That's what RNG want.
The first game on the Jax was okay, but the fact that Jun Hao managed to outplay with audacious charges out of the Counter-Strike multiple times, got to be a little bit frustrating. Don't get me wrong. I think Niket as well going to feel a bit aggrieved that there were so many flashes over the Alistair combos too. So Jun Hao with some nice outplays. Obviously, game 2 that Lee Sin was a deserved MVP. This game though, Milky Way on one of his more famous champions. That Wukong has always been a preference of his when he needs to play that kind of I need to do everything kind of champion. Wukong does it super well. He scales well. He farms well. He does damage. He does CC. He team fights. He can threaten AD carries. He's really slippery. Yeah. Wukong is a pretty good jack of all trades.
I will say though, hard composition to play into. You have to play into a lot of disengage. You go into that Renata ult, kind of sucks. If you, hang on a second, you do have the attack. Yeah, this is the kind of moment where the range advantage comes through. Where is the Skarner? He is here. He could potentially go for a smite steal. Remember, they do have really good space buying tools, and they're getting shredded or RNG by that Atakan.
Yuja not here. He can go the tier 2. They take the Atakan, but they're going to trade this tier 2 at the very least for it. It's just the withdrawals. Remember, you can play the map wider against it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a teleport potentially from RNG to come through to answer this. I think what Ultra Prime say is, look, we would rather play the side lanes ourselves, get, you know, second item towards Yorick, as you're saying, is a huge spike for him, and I completely agree with that. They give up the gold and say, look, you're going to have the Atakan for 2 minutes. That's actually not enough to go towards the Baron. Maybe they give up the next Dragon. Not the best timing for Ultra Prime to give up that Atakan for the Dragon with that in mind, but at least it's not the It's not the Soul because they took that third dragon. It's actually a Hull Break. I completely forgot that Hull Break is the thing as well. I'm not used. I know that Flandre did build it the other day, but it's Flandre going towards the Hull Breaker second.
Course, yes.
So now it has changed over time. It doesn't give you resist when you're away from enemy teammates now, allied teammates. It means that every 5th auto attack does more damage to towers than to champions, so it gives you that. It also increases the resist of the cannon minion with you still, so it's harder to clear out those waves. Now, is EGN going to teleport down to this? I mean, giving Soul Point is still risky, but now you're against the Atakan now. Do you just push up that top lane? The wave is not pre-pushed, though. They would need to buy a little bit of time to still get this wave towards the inner turret.
Okay, it would only be Soul Points, not the end of the world. They might just say, look, we can't play this one very easily right now. Maybe John Hal could look for a steal, but we'd rather have this Yorick split pushing and trying to play around that. Here goes the dragon.
Jace has gone top side. Both top laners have teleport. EGN, I really want to see how much value he's getting here. FPX is pushing mid. Here comes the wall. I guess Ultron do want to flip this a little bit.
The Rakan and the Wukong, hard to keep them out with their mobility. In goes Milky Way, win the smite bite with a feather pull as well.
Oh, the Impale.
Into the Impale. Niket is just nixed, taken out. All the while though, Jachi is in mid lane, looking to threaten the tier 3.
Yeah, he takes the tier 2, so he takes the inner, but can't get anything on the inhibitor turret. It's going to be the Yorick teleporting into that. Didn't get any damage on the top side turret, so...
Yeah, Jace get the wave out.
RNG, all things said and done, Dragon lose a death, don't use their Atakan, and they lose the Dragon, which is Infernal Dragon over to Ultra Prime. It's a mixed bag again. I don't think it's one solid win for one side. Getting the mid lane inner turret, actually not that important, because the outer turret is the big stronghold to get vision and to get presence on the map. The inner one, that's luxury gold. It's still gold over to an FPX, who is 1,000 gold up. That is nasty, but again, mixed bag. They don't get soul points, but Ultra Prime still get a chance to allow Yorick some side lane time.
Really get that much out of the withdrawal. I think as far as Ultra Prime goes, you're okay with it. That said, I now worry a little bit for Wacko's safety in that mid lane when you've got a very long lane with an Aurora, Wukong, and Rakan who have a lot of invisibility and a lot of threat range.
Yorick on the top side. I think we're now at the point where Yorick can actually 1v2 even the Jason and the Wukong in a good scenario. That's the two which I think can do more. Tangerun misses that damage. We'll say as well, not been a great series from Niket. He has been targeted by Ultra Prime, and his engages haven't been that good. The wall here. Potential for Saber to get a combo. That's the kind of play which can change things. If you get chunked out enough, you cede control around this Baron on the top side of the map. Eugen doesn't have teleport. He needs to be on this top side. He can't be split pushing bot side right now. And Saber wants to stick around for a play. Niket caught again!
Oh man, our first kill might finally be coming on through a, second kill after we've only got 1 kill on the board. There was a withdrawal kill too, so 1.5 kills on the board. Is it this game? It's been very low action, but it's still been quite a tense, macro-focused game, all things said and done, especially compared to our first two.
And a reminder of the stakes. This is a single round robin for these two teams in Group Nirvana, our worst teams from the group stage, our seeding stage, placement stage, whatever you want to call it. Bottom two teams in this stage now do not play again for the rest of the year. You have 5 best of 5s against the other 5 teams within your group, 6 teams total, to determine your fate. This is why, when it comes to Game 3 here, 2 teams with, some players who have had some incredible individual moments, it gets tense. It gets really tense. Mistakes might cost you a split's worth of play, and maybe even your future within the LPL.
Tense stuff. 1,500 gold as in goes Tanguyen into the ult from this Aphelios. Decent charm, but it's
tense.
not.
Again, it's so tense. Tanguyen has himself good individual agency, but that's a couple of ults for free. That means Ultra Prime, maybe they can play a bit more brazenly now. John Howe doesn't have the Impale, but they don't have the ults to follow up with this now. He feels completely fine. He's a Skarner with 2 items. RNG, they are feeling a little bit panicked now, I think.
So they're trying to play this one out, try and find some damage in, but couldn't quite secure as much as they were hoping for. At the end of the day, the ults are not that long a cooldown. If they can buy some time,
Milky Way!
Milky Way with a wonderful cyclone to the backside, gets multiple engage ults, and Niket and Milky Way go down. The angle looked great, but it was just punished in a matter of seconds. Eugen now here begins to throw down some last rites. Welcome to the funeral, and it's RNG. We're all mourning.
Xiaoshu tries to jump forwards, might be able to get the EGF, but no, the sustain is there. And Ultra Prime, in a situation they have so commonly fallen apart, with pressure mounting, find themselves the play which will break the game. It is gold, it is Baron, it is time which is worth its weight in gold as well for Ultra Prime. RNG fumble around the Baron, and oh, such a storied organization. It hurts to see them like this.
I thought Milky Way found a phenomenal angle, but there is no ult on Tangyuan or Jachi, and Xiaoshu wasn't there. Let's have a look again.
Well, Milky Way says, I can go towards maybe Xiaoshu. Why is that your target? Doesn't reach Saber, gets hit into the E. This is the composition which Ultra Prime have played for, that hyper disengage. You didn't have the Aurora ultimate, you didn't have the Aphelios ultimate. Aegian gets to jump into the backline to demolish the Aphelios. Hitman in the Seer, well, I guess he gets a taste of his own work. And the ghouls mean that Xiaoshu is slowed into the play. He can't escape at that point. It is a clean ace, Baron, everything for Ultra Prime.
Wrong, you got a brief knock-up onto Wacko, but not for long enough that he didn't get to ult afterwards. And then the Renata ults come flying on through, and Niket dies as well. And you find an angle, sure, you get a 3-man knock-up eventually, but the follow-up isn't there. And now this Xayah is at 3 items, and we said, look, the later this game goes, you're diving through Unraveled Earth, Feathers, Renata ult, the Skarner Impale, all the while this Yorick is threatening elsewhere as well. It is no easy feat to secure clean engage if you don't have all your tools.
Niket's going on to Xiaoshu, but I don't know if this is I don't think you can cash this in. Xiaoshu's caught out now on the bad end of things.
Gets away, but Saber has to flash away from the Cyclone. That's potentially dangerous. Puts Saber in danger. The Impale is wide, and they've used a lot of big tools. Saber goes golden. I think he's going to die. Big pick for the side of RNG. All the while, they'll look where the Yorick is.
So, Egypt chooses not to join this play. Ultra Prime give up 1 and the Dragon, but this is a Baron pushing. I mean, we're still flipping, I guess. I think Ultra Prime just want to stop the recalls right now. Look how quickly this dies. This is a 3-item hull breaker. Yorick, he's going to kill at least the inhibitor. There must be recalls. And remember the back. I mean, could he save for a Nexus turret? I think with eyes off of the recalls now, can't afford to do so, especially with flank teleports coming through. Xiaoshu will go up, so it is Dragon and a kill for 2 turrets, shredded by Egen.
Brings the gold very heavily into Ultra Prime's favor now. They are about 5,000 gold ahead. Significant power play there. This Yorik's going to back and buy the majority of another item if I headed to hazard a guess. There you go. Buys that component towards likely the AGA or a Death Stance. I think both would be perfectly viable for the Yorick this game. On the other side, you're getting towards 3 items on most people. You've got it there for the Aphelios and the Jason. That's great news. And you have got Soul Point. You've now just got to deal with this big gold discrepancy you're down.
I actually think Ultra Prime... One thing which, hang on a second, is Niket. He's been caught out a lot this game. You can't afford to do that again. Not at this point. They do get themselves to Soul Point. That is important. But I think the way Ultra Prime can now win this game is just have the Talia shadow the Yorick. I mean, I think you can win a 1v2 as Yorick, not a 1v3. And I think even some of the 1v2s get a little bit dicey when you have the Wukong being nasty as hell. If you send Saber down there as well, with his ult, with his teleport, I think you win against anyone. I think you win 2v4s. I think at that point... that's game over. You need to be careful with the Xayah and the Renata, but they're very good at disengage. I think that's the plan. I think what you do, you send Yorick down here, you just hold back, just out of Fog of War from Saber. Baron, of course, not on the table right now. I think what you need to be doing is allowing Egen that chance to just wail on someone, wait until the right skill shot comes through, and wait and see if RNG overcommit, and then you just slam things home. I think the problem we saw from Yorick from, say, Flandre the other day, when he did lose on it the first time versus, I want to say it was it versus BLG? Maybe it was that game. That was the game, in fact. And AL versus, a couple of different games, whatever. The problem was they didn't send that other person to make sure that it was an instant win. You always get to commit less to that side of the map now because the Yorick counts as 2 people, really, within those situations.
And the first Yorick one we did see was Arla having a really good time on it just the other day. He was basically playing the PvE experience. It's got very difficult to deal with. It's now got a Guardian Angel as well. You've got to kill this guy twice.
Again, I really think the way that Ultra Prime can win this game, look how many people RNG have to stack on this side. I actually think this is a worry, by the way. Now, if Egen does get jumped on him, I think you immediately slam teleport from Saber, and by the time the Yorick is either died or starts reviving, I'm pretty sure you kill the 2v3. Yes, he can walk up here. RNG, you better know what you're in for here. He's going to start stacking Graves, and that could be a big problem for them. This Yorick is so goddamn strong. They better know what they're doing.
All right, make it solo everything. There was a nice bait from the observers there. I had all the Arise puns ready to go, but no need to summon in Igris this time around. Does Igris count? As you seen
Sam, I was a Tower of God enjoyer. I didn't actually read solo level.
It's good.
I should do that at some point. I know, but
it's pretty. Don't worry. It's pure wish fulfillment.
Pure wish fulfillment trash, and you can enjoy that. But I mean, if you're a Sword Art online, enjoy it. Probably like Sword Art leveling too. Sadly, look, I do actually want to watch it. I do want to go read it actually. Maybe more than watch it. But, ooh, hang on. Spotted the Velcro. Ooh, that's a little bit spooky. Gets
Tried
away
to
with
bait
it.
there.
Baron up in a minute. 2 minutes until Dragon. Yorick now alone in this bot set. Doesn't have the Baron buff anymore. Has a little bit of vision. Sees some people heading towards him. Again, I feel like Ultra Prime. I think they can actually fist fight. I think they're being a little bit tentative here.
Kill the maiden. You can kill the maiden. That's actually also fairly
look for something. He's made that plan in advance, and you get something for Sherm. Doesn't end up leading to that much, but that kind of plan can, as we've seen many times in the past from Scout, lead to some big mistakes coming through from the enemy team, which you can exploit.
Big time. My eyes turn to Scout Shin in particular. The ruler tool will be in effect. The Sith Lords of JDG will be trying to be as dangerous as possible. Of course, the great master of macro.
Let's say that, like, I mean, Sheer on site, that is basically Darth Vayne? Vayne.
No. Vayne, the one who's dead and should just stay
the one that was too angry to die,
yeah,
basically.
That's Vayne.
Yeah.
He's a party member in Crota 2, isn't he? Basically?
No, I don't know about that. No, he's an enemy. Because you have, there's what's her name? Kreia.
Yeah,
or Darth Treya, who's, flip-flops between some things. She's very cool, by the way.
She's
Shun,
just
though.
salty she fell to both sides of the
Two
coin.
of them are up, always, no more, no less. Shun can dive and use the W to reset the aggro, takes it first.
So which one's the master and which the apprentice? I think Sheer might be saying both of you are. The flash on out. JDG, that's clean. I take it back. The Sith strike first.
So, kill over to Arla on the Jace. That is a problem for FPX. It looked a little bit harder to pull off, but this is one of the reasons Defiri is so strong. That tower dive, using the W, call of the pack to go untargetable means you can also dodge the tower shots. That is very powerful, probably too powerful. Scout gonna control this wave here again. Care will spot that coming through and get himself a decent trade. Scout will trade back though and has the phase rush to keep chasing Adam. Care's actually in a little bit of trouble here. This could be a bit of a problem. This might be even a flash force, but the Scuttle Crab will make this a little bit easier. Jway missing coming through. Flash is afraid of that flash starting strike.
There's that room for him. I ain't afraid of no ghost summoner spells, and Jway perhaps should have been. Needs to not cross the beams. There is a bailout on top, but it will mean nothing. The overload is not enough to finish off the side of Care, but Care with no flash and no mana can't do all that to be more to be done. Try that again in English, as JDG find themselves 2-0 up on different sides of the map.
And a lot of this is coming through Scout. You know, Scout giving the option onto Care there for Shun earlier on didn't lead to anything, but once again had the wave on his side of the map and you could walk past it and threaten Care once more. Care, big mistake looking for the recall in that part of it. Shun now walking into Shadow, maybe in a bit of trouble here.
A bit afraid. Should have been not walking into the Rancor pit, and Shadow was waiting there, and there is no door to drop on Shun's head. He dies, and it's a dragon afterwards.
Oh, that's really good for FPX now. Shun, he's a player, of course, been to World Finals and had a number of great performances for him. He is not without his inconsistencies, and right here, misreads the map. Shadow, the player for FPX who I need to see step up to see them win, and we've seen that recently, actually, is now on the board on that 1-0. We said maybe not the pick we want to see from him because he's normally the player of that Nefiri. Wants to be on that carry side of the matchup. Does get some golden pocket, and that's important for the matchup. Bar
guard is broken in half, but fortunately, like Darth Maul, he can be put back together again, but this time with big robot legs. And he'll be back on the Rift.
Dude,
to go again.
He was such a cool character in the Clone Wars. Oh, great stuff. Sam Witwer, the voice actor, he's such a nerd, but he worked really well for the characters. He knew exactly what he wanted out of it.
Kenobi.
Today is a very Star Wars day.
I feel like it is, yeah.
Yep.
April the 14th be with you.
Yeah, that's the one. Damn, that this team, Jing Darth Gaming. Jing Darth Gaming.
I mean, they've got a vaguely Sith-looking logo.
Sam, their logo is literally a demon. It's perfectly on brand. It's kind of, yeah.
Kind of looks a bit more like. I can get behind that.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a nice flashing out of the Valkyrie as well. Maybe Assume could flash forward, look for something, chooses not to. I think that was an angle there, you know, and I feel like they maybe missed their opportunity.
Could have flashed for flash there, I agree. Didn't want to burn it, so they'll just take the trade and the cleanse down. Can maybe find something else afterwards. We look bot side.
Arlo, left alone on this side of the map. Anyone's coming to help him? No. Care pulls the ultimate. Arlo has no flash, and that might be his undoing. Here comes Scout, though, with the Realm Warp.
It'll be the Death Star run underneath the turret, and unfortunately, those turrets were fully operational. There'll be no Proton Torpedo available to save the side of this Jace, courtesy of those accelerated shot blasts. And FPX strike back.
Care doesn't have a one-person snub fighter, but he does have himself an ultimate to swing by that bot side and get themselves an evening of things in that top lane one. Well, I suppose the Australia lanes, but that matchup there means that Arlen misses a bit of XP. Will come back out onto the map. He has to sync up that mid lane. I will say, teams like Anyone's Legend and JDG, one of my favorite things about watching them is their lane assignment. Right here, I think they do a good job of allowing Scout to pick up some farm, and then JDG put the top laner into the mid lane. Oh, wow.
But it's into a mount of as barrier. Still got the bailout on top. He looks to keep playing forward. Tries to flash up and get the bailout. Does so. Resets in, and they get the other. Assume with two. A little assist in from Jway to make sure that second one's confirmed.
If you want an example of why Kalista Renata is broken, that is your golden way to show it.
You wait until your health hits 0, you've got a full stack lethal tempo, and the rend means you can save up those spears for an instant kill once you drop down into the bailout. Gets the rend set, gets the double kill, Kalista and Renata do their job. We said in draft, against another team, maybe this would get you killed, maybe this would be a problem. With Payson missing, they've been good, right? This is still a Kalista Renata, and you have to pay it attention. Barrier comes through. The bailout starts giving that ticking move speed and attack speed early as well, kind of like that pseudo enchanter. Gets the rend set and assume, and Dre outplay.
Get the kills, and that means a decent gold lead now in this bot side. We saw towards the beginning of the year the likes of Kazi and Helisack trying out this Corki rel to beat up Kalistas. You've got the double shred, you can look to punish with all-ins, and you know, with all your short range, it can be quite hard for Kalista to hop out of the AoE, but it's gotten harder and harder to make that one work as time has gone on. A bit of a scrim discrepancy either way. Nice win there for Assume and Dre, and a necessary one. And it earns them the feat of martial mastery, at the very least, for FPX, who hit to episode 4, a new game early on. It is our 4th game of the day. Find the Rune Prison though, not quite caught in Carbonite for long though, and Assume will be able to back away.
Even just as the 2-man unit, very, very scary there. JDG do take a good chunk out of that though. Shadow on the bot side. Remember, there's still that Nefarial. You've got to be a little bit more careful here. You know, it's okay if you stack up your lethal tempo and then they jump at you. Of course, you need to be in a mid-fight then. Bit harder when you don't have that. Shadow starting to just babysit this bot side. Doesn't want to leave them alone on the turret. Corki left alone to face in mid, but Cat once again shadowing as well. We are now in an even early game. Grubs over to one side, Dragons over to the other. Fed Kalista on one side, Fed Jace on the other. This is the way that the matchups are supposed to go. And I do think FPX have the better draft. On the whole, I think they have the better draft. I think JDG have better macro options, and they do have very good side lanes. But FPX, if they get to a 5v5, much harder for JDG to do much about it. So,
a lot of damage, but yeah, it's not the easiest setup for it.
Yeah, look, I think this is competitive, right? I'm not going to say it's a massive draft win, but I think FPX, if they get to a 5v5, I think they have a lot of options. And I think that JDG coming out of the early game, even, is not really what they would have wanted from these lanes either. So FPX maybe have themselves an angle here.
Arla quietly farming up very well on this Jace, I'll note that. On towards the Conqueror, looking to build towards the Black Cleaver first into this Scion, which has been a pretty regular option, and Sheer just kind of has to sit here and suffer. It's the way of it. All the while, though, I think Rise for Scout is in an okay spot. The issue is kind of the fact that Shadow's managed to get a couple kills back. You managed to get Assume ahead of Curve, and that's what you need to say. You're up 500 gold. You can look to play towards this second Dragon with your Kalista and give yourself that out in a win condition towards something like Soul. May decide, though, that Grubs are the better part of that. Don't want to give 6 Grubs over to a Rise and a Jace, because the side laning options, it has to be said for JDG, are very strong this game as it goes on. The Jace and the Rise will be pretty hard to manage for the Talia and the Scion, respectively.
However, JDG, a team that we maybe in the next week or so, after their run of form gets harder. We'll see what happens in this one. Yeah, nice run sets there. Get another one hit. JDG maybe at the top of the pack. Had a convincing win over BLG the other day. Looking very good there. Found on the Dragon here. This is the Kalista or not. I mean, I don't think he can burst this down quite quick enough. Has to leave it. Hang on a second. Can you start stacking up the rend here? Shinzao's coming over. It's a leash on the Dragon. FPX will get 2.
Nicely played. Can't take it down fast enough. Couldn't show them. So FPX find themselves not quite with feats of strength because they only took the 1 grub top side. However, second Dragon secured. And we've seen a lot of that where people will start second grubs, get one, and immediately run towards Dragon to contest that one instead.
I think particularly when you're on a slower farming jungler, that can often be your angle. W misses, so the wind won't become lightning there. And it's just a breeze on the back. Scout will clear through it. Combo does hit though. Good damage.
For your angle, or perhaps your JDG Devil this time around.
Devil.
The Devil trigger coming on out. Somewhere out there, DMC is once again relevant somehow.
Much to the chagrin of many actual DMC fans. That show is...
I've not seen it yet.
Look, I'm just saying there's some weird stuff going on with that show right now. Don't really know why what's-his-name Asmongold might be in Season 2. There are many things I'm questioning about Devil May Cry, and I think their fan base might be crying too.
Well, we'll leave that one alone, and we'll move on to the game ahead of us. What episode are we on now? I suppose we're still episode 4, really.
Yeah.
That's no... I don't think it's... That's no moon doesn't really work for that. There's no, it's not a big enough value.
I'm just going to see, like, Talia press Q. I'm going to shout, watch out for those wrist rocks instead of wrist rockets. Man, Star Wars Battlefront 2, great game, great game. You did have to watch out for those wrist rockets. They were really nasty. They would one-shot you. It's really nasty, actually. But I'm super battle droids. Shit. Pushing towards this bot side, ults towards there for a bit of tempo. Is 1,000 gold down. I will say, I think we're getting to the point. What's up, sir?
The Fury to Droidica. The Eviscerate. She's spinning around. With the Eclipse shield, she even has a shield.
Wonderful, Sam. I'm very happy for you in this discovery. Shit, getting a plate maybe on this bot. I can't get the plates actually, sadly. Just about. Oh, no, it does. All right, cool. Just about to get through to it. Assume going to walk towards missing. Not going to be able to get that much out of it. FPX, again, I think FPX are in an okay spot here on the whole. I will say, though, Sion's not particularly happy about life. Is getting to the point where, especially that Black Cleaver coming up, the side lane gets worse. And that's one person hitting him. If you get, at this point, with this, gold deficit, you are potentially seeing a point where Sion does actually get one shot by triple very strong damage threats in the front line. So Sheer has to play well.
Especially if the Black Cleaver gets stacked, suddenly the Neferi and the Corki will still take you down very, very fast. And Rise, also quietly, one of the better tank killers out there, just purely because he goes through so many damn rotations.
He flings his hand around and blue shit flies everywhere, as the devs used to call it.
That sounds like Palpatine to me.
Yeah, it does.
Unlimited power! Exactly, I'm glad you understand where I was going with
I do,
one.
Sam. It's pretty hard to think of any other reference there. Sheer gonna get jumped on again, and the Black Cleaver is nasty. Sheer's actually in danger here.
Gonna hammer someone back here, goes to the skies and looks to continue trading on out here. Never trust anything but a good blaster at your side, kid. Ala now potentially in danger with Shadow looking to come and punish. Flash on over the wind becomes lightning. He knows force lightning too. Looks to audacious charge on forward. A little bit of that force power. The seismic shove will bring down the Jace in the top lane.
Ala, twice the pride, double the fall, gets collapsed on before he can finish off the kill, and now Kerr is left alone bot side. Sheer can recall, teleport towards top side, but Shun maybe feels like he can do something with missing. That's one stun.
Flash, shattering strike, crash down with a magnet storm afterwards. Shun tries to do some work there with the call of the pack, throws some darkened daggers. And there is always a few more where one came from. Back away from that one.
Yeah, a good call of the pack for Shun to ignore the knockback from the Shinzao ultimate. Means he can carry on for the rest of that damage. Good turnaround. FPX a bit of a reminder there. They are against a very high damage team, even if the 5v5s look okay for them later on.
Ola's death is quickly punished. All the while Scout gets to be in mid lane with 5 grub, big chunk onto this mid tier 1. And if you ever want to ask what Scout is doing, it's probably based around the turret. Tends to be a good angle for what he does in life. Finds himself in a very potent position. Reset here. Doesn't get spotted by Jway and won't pick up that Rose because feels a little bit at risk and would indeed be so were they to overplay for that tank.
Blade item spike for the Callisto is also very important. It has evened up the gold deficit.
His lightsaber. It's not a Diego. But you know.
Wait, that wasn't. No, she wasn't like. She was like cousins with Diego, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's not.
I know, but it's just because he's got the blade.
Ugh.
You know.
Whatever, Care gonna hit by... Ooh, not gonna get hit by that. But yeah, I mean, that blade spike, very, very good for the Callisto. However, Pace is now even in gold. They've managed to even up that.
He killed a whole room full of younglings with this weapon.
Many children with this. Okay, Shun, in a strong point, has the Eclipse, has the Phage. I actually think Shun could go for a big reset combo here. The Ren starting to get stacked up.
Bleeds on top of Shadow. Sheer's now looking for an ult on end. The
steal.
Unstoppable onslaught comes on through. Steal away by Shun. Weaver's Wall comes on through, looking to make this one an interesting one. To hyperspace went Care. But there's not really all that much to be found as the Renata comes on through and makes sure that they feel the hate. The Scout needs to run away. Probably the better part of Valor here is Shun now in danger. Throws out the Dark Dagger. Sends the dogs on forward. Sheer now in danger. And the power is indeed unleashed. And they find a kill onto the side.
So FPX not only mess up the Callisto Ren Smite combo, Sheer also missed positions in a way we said he couldn't afford to do so in the team fight as well. I've not been impressed with Sheer's Sion from what I've seen from the last couple of games, and now FPX is starting to give more gold over towards a very high damage team, which can punish them for this. And to make things worse, the Herald isn't just going to slam into top lane, it'll slam into bot lane too. You can make the angle here. So JDG take a huge power play.
Oh, beautiful.
And FPX, they start falling very far behind.
Navigate the asteroid field very adroitly and manage to secure that one despite the odds being against them. Scout here to defend. Can't quite claim the turret afterwards, but nice piloting skills there. Millennium Falcon of the Herald managed to get that one. Shun though needs to get on out. Flashes away to safety as some looking for the kill. The Ren not quite enough on the dog, but the slow might be enough as they continue to stack on forwards. Trying to keep jumping. Wind becomes lightning, staying alive. The Eclipse shield is there. Pace now sidesteps that seismic shove. Care gets to stay alive.
Jace.
The TVs come flying on through, and Jace is indeed looking on that one. Looks for the shock blast, can't quite land it. That one wasn't 1 in a million.
FPX lose that dragon despite the fact that Assume was looking for a really big kill onto Shun. The Blade Spike of the Callista not able to completely shut him down early enough. Arla doesn't have flash still, but does dodge out on the combo, importantly so. I think he actually would have died there. And JDG get away with punishing the mistakes of FPX, who can't quite cleanly execute enough.
They can't. Arla looking to stop some backs. Nice far side. Alterate for the flash handshake! Arla's gone too far. They picked that one up. Care is the one who gets that. Cold of the pack allows a moment of invulnerability. Shadow in a 1v1. Still trying to run out with Shun, but will surely get the damage. They get one back. The trade still continue to fly. A scout is now clearing out the wave, but dies as well. And the Sith Empire crumbles as FPX are waiting rebels indeed. They are scum. Looking to drop fights from bushes, hiding out of vision.
Pays was completely at the other side of the map there. Lost a carry you have. How embarrassing. How embarrassing, Yoda would say. FPX get themselves a huge play on the bot side. It has been very scrappy. I'm saying, look, FPX can't afford to give over the random amount of the gold they did after the Herald was taken by JDG. They lost 2 turrets. They lost a couple of kills. This is important, though. It stems the blading a little bit, keeps them ahead in terms of those turrets. And what happened here? Spots Cap, but doesn't spot anyone else. Just misjudges it. Arla going a little bit too far multiple times. FPX have put a target on his back, and they've bullseyed it. One Pratt with a T16. Managed to take down the rest of the team too.
How many Bothans died to give Arla that information? In the end, it was all a ruse anyway. Turns out that bush bait was fully operational. They find that kill. Arla will return to the scene of the crime though and bring down that battle station in the bot lane. Tier 1 turret down, and JDG still find themselves up a fair amount of gold. And that you can see there, the win percentages flip back and forth so much. It's slight edge to JDG, but it has not been an easy ride-off.
Let's check out those individual gold leads. 1,000 in the top lane, that is a problem. The Jace becomes an issue. I don't think there's anyone that can deal with the Jace expertly well. You just have to play well. No one has the best tools to deal with it. Jungle matchup going well for Shadow. And we said, hey, Shadow, actually on a very good set of form. One of the reasons why FPX have managed to have a good uptick. Replacing Sorrow in the jungle. Shadow, I think, has been a better source of leadership for the team. Mid lane, over towards Care, actually, 2-0 and 3. I think that he has an easier job in some ways than the Rise. I think the Rise, it's harder for him to position in some ways, but because the extra range of the Talia, it's a little bit easier. Of course, can stop that Neferi ultimate with the E. Well, doesn't stop it, makes sure they're stunned on the other side of it, and of course the Eviscerate too. Bot lane, though, being behind for the FPX, after all the work they did in that 2v2 early, not necessarily what they want, and failing a couple of objective fights now, slash the smite on the Herald, means that they're a little further behind than what they would like to be on an individual level.
It's feel a bit tricky, that's for sure. Okay, FPX, where are you at now? 9 kills up, that's nice. Gold behind, but not crazily so. 900 or so gold. You've got yourself 2 items on the Callisto, even if the Corki's pulled back ahead. Mainly by farming out really well here, actually. Pays in a pretty good spot himself with that Muramana transformation. Shun at 2 items. Everyone basically at 2 items across the board, with the exception of Sheer. As we said, he is not notably behind, but literally the moment I speak about it, the Unending Despair is completed. So Sion at this point in a better spot than they once were.
And of course, Sion eventually just gets 1,000,000 stacks and can do a lot of work, but
with another million on the way.
Must be very proud. Very impressive. Can't think of many other Obi-Wan quotes to think about it. Like, I do have a lot of them. It's just, do I have them for now?
I mean, does Sheer, maybe the quote is, you know, like it's like 1,000,000 souls cried out and were suddenly silenced.
True.
They've all been put in the soul furnace.
Ah, yeah.
Sion is the Death Star. Powered by one.
Yeah, my problem
star
is
of death in his stomach.
I feel like Sheer has a set of fatal flaws, though. It's not quite an exhaust port. It's actually his teamfight positioning. It's a little bit different.
Right.
Which is something which I've not been impressed with on his side
Jace's
so far.
proton torpedo.
That could very well be it. It could also be a fighter squadron of Neferi Hounds, too. Can also shred through him. Double Black Cleaver missing. Going down the river. Atacon started Ruinous Variety. We'll give you those plants in the permanent buff. Don't want to let this go over if you can help it. The Africans need to approach carefully. Here comes the attack run.
To mind something here. As they are entering Locke's foils into attack position, but FPX don't know they're here. Just fly casual, guys, and they won't know the Atakan's going down.
I think they will well, I guess not. I guess not. Atakan snuck away. The Neferi can one-man it as a, well, with the pack as well. Can heal off of it much better with those Qs, and that's going to go down. However, FPX, maybe they just say, right, we're going to go towards Soul Point instead. You can take your Atakan. We'll choose to believe in the Dragon Force. Get themselves third Dragon on Ocean Soul.
Wincon secured with that Ocean Soul point. Again, you've got the Callista. Your ability to flip imbalanced fights is there, or imbalanced smite fights specifically, is pretty good. Still, JDG are the ones with 5 grubs now, empowered by that Atakan, but pick up all the petals. They're not in a bad position this game either. It's just that FPX don't exactly trade it out for nothing.
We have so many Black Cleavers. We have like 1 on one side, maybe even 3 on the other side if we get to it. Point in chat, met up by Further. Talking about Foof, rather, probably the way it's pronounced. Going towards the more Bruiser Corki build. This will likely be the Shojin next, but we might see the Black Cleaver in this build too, because it's not a crit Corki, is worth noting.
It is not. It feels like we've moved away from that in recent weeks. Shojin very regular now on that champion. Red buff being taken by the side of FPX's bot side, and we'll secure that one easily enough. Scout split pushing away. This Rise, 2 items, building towards a third shortly, you'd imagine, and nearly got a fully stacked rower. Is also in a very good position this game. Fully operational right now.
Shea heading towards third item. The tankier this Scion gets, they can knock this. Ooh, didn't spot it with the sweeper either. Knows that the ward was in that brush, so we can clear that one out at least. I mean, 2 item on Shinzao, that's actually kind of helpful, because if you get the 2 item Shinzao, I don't think this is the game where you 1v1 well, definitely not the Jace, you don't 1v1, not at this point. Rise you can do a good amount of damage to, but then that kind of sucks as well. The Corki, maybe you can. When you've got this kind of lead on the Shinzao, you can force mobility, flashes, and maybe enough of a HP bar that you can just take someone out of the fight, whilst you're also frontlining with that ult as well. I think Shadow, if he has a good enough team fight, maybe it can make up for the lack of Shear's power and positioning. Has to ult out, missing. Not going to be able to pick them off. There was a roam up towards that. Ultimate down.
Probably in the end, I think, a pretty conservative ult, but potentially a necessary one, and so okay. Does get out without having to blow anything else. The level 14 Talia probably won't have that much cooldown on the wall in the grand scheme of things. You've still got a few minutes until something like that Soul, so can afford to burn that up. Returns to the scene of the crime, but this time with friends.
Sort of take a step back from here too. You know, obviously quite an intricate map state happening right now, Baron up. This is FPX, who scraped into the Ascend group. We didn't have great feelings about. Doing actually pretty damn well against one of our best teams in the league. 3-0. Yes, only one of those was against a really top team, but still, I think there's a lot of props that have to be given to FPX, who are fighting above their caliber, and they get a pick.
Oh, nice pick off. Missing is indeed missing in action. Spartans never die. He certainly does. That's a nice pick off there. Turnaround damage with that shock blast is good. Scout off vision.
It was the big one, not the shock blast. Oh, can they find him in there? Remember, he used his ultimate flash forward. The handshake misses.
Tries to run away with the phase rush. Still on top of him is Shadow, looking to get on top. They're doing so much damage as soon. Will surely be able to trade out here, but my god, Scout tried his very best at a 1v4, but cannot escape. That flanking mission goes very, very wrong.
Yeah, and even though the big one and the Rise do so much damage, Macrown's in orbit. It's not quite enough to see off the grouped up army of FPX, who take themselves 2 quick kills, missing, caught out there. And this is a player which I have had some criticisms of, being a little bit inconsistent. It's been better in recent weeks, but still someone which I know has a much higher ceiling than this. JDG getting picked off a little. The gold lead inconsequential now. 2 minutes until the Dragon. If FPX keep on this form, they get a pick like that before the Dragon, that could be soul over to FPX.
That is a rough position, missing with the handshake, as JDG were looking to contest the vision, keep their control ward up, and gets punished. A Scout then realm warped in, is caught behind enemy lines. Let's see if he can catch someone out on the retreat, but end up in a 1v4 trying to play for this flank angle.
This is... Look, as soon as you have your teammates not walking up there, get the hell out, man. Get the hell out. You have Ghost and Flash. You can just walk out the backside. No one's going to be able to catch you, especially with Kez ult being down. Vision control still being established around this Baron. There's a really good ward just on the top side of the Baron pits. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Sheer still getting some time in the sideline. Worth remembering, it's not just the gold he gets value from here. It is also that Soul Furnace, which definitely makes a lot of difference for him. JDG not able to do that much around the Baron, and now JDG have themselves a bit of a difficult conundrum. FPX are happy to give you the Baron if they take the Dragon. You are not particularly happy if you take a Dragon and they get Baron. So you must stay around that Dragon, but you can't allow them to go towards either objective, really. FPX in a good spot. JDG kind of have to contest wherever FPX choose to fight.
Now we're getting some defensive items coming on through. Care's got his own arm guard to work with. We've got the Terminus completed for this Callista on top of the bailout and the Locket Shield. These are big item breakpoints for things like the Callista, which do translate into being a bit tanky as we come towards this Dragon.
20 seconds till the Dragon. That Seekers is so important for the one big fight at the game. Great poke from Paze. Jace can do the same. Can they get the pick? Though missing again!
Tries to play frontline, is not swift enough with the flash or the crash down. Dies for the decimating smash stun.
Oh, missing. You can't afford to die like that. It's one of the reasons we criticize him here. Paze got some great poke down. Alakut as well. Scout has to go just panic shove bot lane because they have to deny them options. I think FPX just rush towards the Dragon and they just hope that, you know, there'll be enough poke coming through. Yes, Scout will get this and he has the Realm Warp, but if FPX get the Dragon, they don't give a damn.
Have to play for the fight regardless. Shun on one side, Pazer on top of the very split off. Arla looking for poke. Landed a fairly decent amount onto Joy already, but the Dragon now secured. That is Ocean Soul. Scout now split off. Not quick enough on the turret take. Got to try and run away. Does get the turret in the phase rush time into the Realm Warp. All the while the hostile takeover comes crashing across Jing Dong Gaming, who aren't doing very much gaming. Disconnect them PCs. It's looking rough out here. The monitors must be turned off as Paze needs to get out of there. Avert your eyes, fans. JDG fumble over the last 2 minutes.
FPX have had 4 series losses, but strike them down and they might just become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. JDG 3-0, getting sucker punched here.
Head towards the Sarlacc pit, Baron pit to pick up a final buff here, and they will slay it with aplomb. No Jabba's barge required. FPX, Soul, and Baron, and a fantastic game state to play from here. At the very least, JDG will shove up mid lane, get an additional tier 2. They are still not giving up everything for free here.
Scout going towards that top side, but we return to the statement made before this. It doesn't matter if you take those inner turrets. FPX don't give a damn. They have the Soul now with tanks. They have the Baron now, which will allow them to claim back some of that tower gold as well. They only have 1 tower to JDG's 5. So much on the map. You're absolutely correct there. Can't say I've ever heard of no at-in. FPX, though, might have heard of some towers to take. Shadow walking forwards, and that Ocean Soul is going to be very, very nasty to try and kill the frontline now. Shadow is actually pretty happy taking some of this damage. Well, obviously not quite to that amount.
You got Ocean Soul, he'll be alright.
But he'll be okay. FPX will feel so much better now.
He won't die afterwards, that's incredible.
Yeah, why the hell did they give that to Ray in that last movie? Questions and very few answers there are. Maybe I have to play Fortnite to figure out that one very crucial lore piece of information.
That's one way to drop lore, I suppose, but okay. We come.
Care coming in just to separate them away from the turret. They just want the turret. They don't necessarily want the fight afterwards. That'll take it. Shear's going to go push up towards that top side. JDG have the grubs. They can take towers more quickly, but FPX with the Baron can't exactly be stopped now, even with some decent wave clear from JDG.
They have got a fair amount of wave clear. Dark and Daggers, Corki, Rise, all very good at that. The Jace can shove out waves in the side lane, but they're still trying to claim as many of these turrets as they can. As you noted, we only had 1 turret take from FPX before this. If they can make this into a big economy Baron, get some tier 2s on top of everything else, it feels pretty good here in the grand scheme of things.
Sion has teleport too. The gold lead's being lessened on that front, and I do think that Sheer can at least play to wave clear. Has the Ocean Soul now, so he can at least get that ticking, so it's harder for the Jace to kill him in a side lane. He'll try it. In fact, he's going to try right now, maybe. The Ocean Soul makes this much harder to do. Good luck, Ala. That 1v1, which you've worked so hard to achieve. Your team's not exactly paid you back for that one, have they?
1 or 2 oversteps from Ala where he's been baited up. I think there's only 1 person in the bush, and there being 3 has caught him and punished him enough already.
He just doesn't care, does he? And Diego saying in Onivia's chat, which I do completely agree with, JDG only have gold from turrets. And don't get me wrong, Scout is one of the best goddamn players at taking the game. If you've never heard me talk about the macro which Scout has innovated about taking towers, you'll hear plenty from me in the future. He's great at doing that. But that's all they've had this game. They're now behind in goal, while the FPX still have towers to pick up.
Jack showdown on this Callista now as well. The Realm Walk comes on in. Care is in danger. Will Seismic Shift shown away, but still has a lot of ability to keep on going. Flash away. Trying to get the wall right down. Paze landing a big one. Dark and Daggers come on through. Care will likely die. Nice pick off there as the Realm Walk came on through as well. But all the while, FPX continue to shove to get a tier 2 bot side as well.
Yeah, are we going to get another big power play? I don't actually think you win the 4v5 against the front line without that Neferi ultimate. They can try, but I don't know if they win this against the Ocean Soul.
Set drive to maximum firepower as the hostile takeover comes flying across. and the hatred is strong with this one. Scout goes golden, but I don't think Carbonite will save you for long. Unfrozen, and unfortunately, look who was waiting. Jabba's there, laughing his head off, and so are FPX.
No.
They find the damage. Base and Ellie there to make it a turnaround, and they can't get more than Scout.
Easy to get tricked in that fight by looking at what's happening with the initial play, but it's still the 4v5, and you had to look at some of the HP bars on FPX. Shun kept his W till later into the play to make sure the Rend couldn't give the bailout onto him.
Hang on.
There was a huge play going forward.
Can they end?
Kara's alive, so it won't be the end of the game, and especially with 2 dead. But still, JDG get a huge fight.
To break on the inhibitor, they've got 4v1, but you're right, Care is enough wave clear to deal with that. We'll have a look again.
And again, you know, what Care gets picked off here. I'm sure we'll get a replay of the next fight after that too, where, you know, you could be forgiven for thinking that FPX just clean up there, but you forget it's a 4v5, and there's a Nefarian play too, who has so much extra random turnaround potential. It's a good pickoff. I thought maybe it was an overinvestment, but then FPX stay a little too far, and we'll see exactly what happens in this fight again. Now, Assume is convinced to stay around, needs to. Scout gets some damage down. I thought it was going to be so hard to play against the heavy front line, especially with missing, kind of cocking up another engage, really. Renato buys time, and they get themselves the first play here. FPX get a great play, but they don't do damage to the carries. They start doing it now, but there's Seekers. They get absolutely minced through, and then the Nefari is left alone too. I really feel like FPX just don't damage enough for the carries. Pays is full HP, and Nefari's got enough with them as well. They just don't focus the carries, and JDG clean up house.
I'd love to see some post-fight, team-fight damage there, because I'm so curious to see what those numbers ended up being.
Pays. No.
Got Flash, got Valkyrie, should be okay.
I saw the observer zoom in, I was like, huh? A little bit jump scared that. Alright, FPX still have the Ocean Soul, 20 seconds till Elder, minute till Baron. I still think FPX are considered, you know, very strong in this game, though they have lost that gold lead. JDG have the Realm Warp to potentially pull apart. Let's see what they can do with the poke as well.
Shun, Ala, Pays, and the rest of JDG shoving through mid lane. Elder in 2 seconds. They're looking to wrap around behind. They've got wards in the enemy jungle right now.
And I really feel like Shun is such a danger point. If you can get into the backline, if you open up another option, things get very, very bad. Sheer trying to block off some skill shots, successful in doing so. Ren starting to come through now.
Shun's not going to get overhead. They just have to give up the Elder, don't they? With the Ren's in, you're absolutely right. No real way to contest. Elder secured by FPX, but Baron in 25.
But now JDG have to fight against the Elder from us. Allah has to teleport away because he doesn't know where. They don't have the vision to tell where they're heading to. 20 seconds until Baron. Elder up. FPX can again just death ball now. They have the Elder, and that means that JDG can't contest. They have to play smoke and mirrors.
That's going to be interesting. Last fight was close. It'd be a lot harder for it to be close this time if you've got Elder to work with as well. Scout didn't finish the Zonyas, it's worth noting, went straight towards that death camp. We did kind of notice, but worth noting he still hasn't completed the Zonyas as yet. See what he gets on this reset, but FPX reset towards his Baron with the Elder on top as well. I feel like JDG just have to give this up, but that's double Uber buffs now to play around.
Yeah, so, I mean, FPX don't end with this. That says a lot about FPX. Look, I've been very happy to see the growth from this team. JDG are one of our top teams. We don't know exactly where they are in that standing right now. You know, we see some great moments for some of these players, some awesome moments from some of these players. We've also seen some of their foibles as well. I think missing, poor game from him on the Rel this time. It is a little bit difficult being the sole engage, but he's missed some key opportunities and get picked off at some important opportunities too. FPX now walking forwards. Shadow did land the W there. There's an Elder. Wouldn't put it past him with a GA to go a little bit further. Poke comes through, but yeah, if there's some Ocean Souls ticking, makes it a lot harder for that poke to stick.
Inhibitor number 1 falls, but you're going to need a few more of those to see to the death of JDG's Nexus. They'll come.
Elder onto Scout.
Scout's in danger. He was too far up. Yes, you're a Scout, mate, but you can't get separated from your front line too easily. Manages to ghost and run away. Shadow taken low. FPX actually slightly split apart here as their bot lane zoned away by Arla. Tier 2 in mid lane will still fall though.
I mean, some props to Arla. Really good skill shot accuracy, and the Ocean Soul is not active on a lot of these members because they're not hitting back to activate it. Elder falling off in 30 seconds. They will break the base, and they do get a good amount of gold from that. Gold is a little bit decorative now because we're getting towards that point in the late game, and you've already got Soul and Elder and this stuff which kind of outweighs some item deficits or whatever. Cap can teleport back onto the map. Need to be careful in the brief 4v5 though.
On these flank angles, hitting the big grouped up shock blast is beginning to hurt. He's a 4-item Jace. He will sting, assuming you get those combos down.
Doesn't sting as much onto Assume. He has
Quite a lot of tank items now.
far too much tankiness. It is quite problematic. Going towards what looks to be, I suppose, would be the... I don't actually know whether it could be the Blood... Yeah, I think the Bloodthirst is pretty damn good here. There's
Tell too, so.
it does go for the GM. No, actually, no, the GA makes more sense here because I think also there's a really annoying interaction where technically GA, I think it does proc while you're in Guardian. I think Koshin Soul procs it while you're in it. It does for Zhonya's as well, by the way. So if you can get some damage down, there's a chance he has an extra couple of hundred HP to play around as that comes through.
Shooting Bailout and GA now as well. How many lives will this?
Yeah, which is why JDG needs to pick off someone so separated that they can't be rallied around, or get so much AoE damage down that it doesn't matter. Because you're healing, yes, it's one person, yet there's not healing for all 4 people all the time. So, FPX, can they finish the game with this? It has been a good game 1. They've taken game 1s off of a hell of a lot of teams right here. JDG, will they also fall prey to that?
There's one around. Shadow throwing some wind becomes Force Lightning around. Dogs go forward, but are forced to retreat. Dregs are Baron for 25 seconds. What can they get done with it? Sheer in the mid lane. Rotation up from Shadow to try and get towards it as well. And Scout's going to have to try and clear up this way, but I don't know how easy it will be to walk up and stay safe.
Really good sinking of waves. Really good sinking of waves. Flashing forwards for the knock-up. Here goes Shadow.
Audacious charge for 3 Talon Strikers there, looking for an engage. So with a Magnus Storm turnaround, Shock Blast in the backside. But FPX damn tanky at this point. Another audacious charge. They can keep on playing. Still got GA second lives. The hostile takeover comes on through as well. Feel the hate is what the Renata says. The pathway to powers some say are unnatural. Extra lives with Bailout still to work with too.
It's another poor engagement missing, and now where is that engage? Arla jumps in, but he's got to be so careful. Knocked up, tower's going down. Realm might be able to get something, I guess.
Can't quite find it. They'll get one down to GA, but somehow Kalista returned. Has an Ocean Soul to work with. Continues to heal up.
This is it.
That's got to be game. FPX still manages to strike against our best teams in the LPL. They are never to be counted up. Away. Lucas is back. Oliver losing those attacks. Knocked up by that decimating smash. Corky too. Must Valkyrie away. Shun desperately tries to get some please down for the dog. Can't do it. To the pound you go. Bailout on top, and Shadow will not quite burn out until just now. Pays alone in his little X-Wing. Cannot stand against the mass might of the FPX Empire. Another seismic shove, and Pays is made one with the Force.
Jingdarth Gaming is slain at the hands of the Warriors of FPX. Turrets will go down. It is a 40-minute game, and FPX show once again they do deserve to be here in Group Ascent, taking another game off of a top team.
1-4 they might be, but look at that game.
Perhaps, Andrew, perhaps. All right. Gnar locked in for Ship, gives him some teamfight potential. I think it's a good lane versus the Poppy. Arla, I'm a little surprised that they picked the Poppy. Maybe they thought it was a takeaway. It's no restaurant, that is.
It's no moon.
That's no moon. All right, much better team fight from JDG this time. Much better. They have point and click engage. They have strong carries. FPX, they're going to have a harder time, but however, they do have good globals themselves this time. A bit of a reversal of what happened in the last game. You do have the Alistair to be a front line. The Panting can be that too with the fight. Take down JDG. Let's get into the rift.
Little shy on the gyros there. Wonder whether we came onto the rift a little late to hear them properly. Sounds like the commentators were already chatting away there, so it may well have been post the gyros, which is a bit of a disappointment. We'll have to do them into so go on, let's do it then. JDG?
Gyro!
JDG!
Gyro!
JDG!
Gyro!
Farm Plus!
Gyro!
Farm Plus!
Gyro!
Farm Plus!
Gyro!
There we go, how's that?
LGD! That's his
TSM!
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, LGD is often called out by the crowd in the same way that TSM was many years ago. Less so nowadays. I think they've become, because they've been out of the league for a little while, a little bit less relevant now. But hey, who can forget TSM Sword Art?
Who has a better story than TSM than Sword Art the Broken?
Yeah, sure. I swear to God, don't you mention that goddamn name in front of me. Oh, who thought Brown was a good idea for that? Anyway, Shen gonna go towards the Wolves first stop.
It's a great cereal. What's wrong with you?
I wonder whether Shun can get an early invade up towards topside. Hang on a second. Punt away.
Thank you for joining us in Nivea's chat. I see we've got some gyros going on. Ocean Salt saying no.
Gee, I know. Pays, of course, gets control over the lane early. The Kai'Sa, I don't think, loves this matchup. You do lose that early pressure. I'm a little... I feel like this is a harder composition to play from FPX. The game one, I could see them winning in some early lanes. I saw them with better team fights, and they played well enough around the objectives. This one, I think they are contested in bot lane quite heavily. I'm quite worried about giving Shun over a big carry pick, particularly when it's such a powerful pick within the LPL right now. Care actually doing quite okay, but, I mean, you know, Dizzy only running at you with the stupid-ass E ability.
Yeah, unbinding the soul turns out pretty valuable, and Care kind of had to stick around to be out of range of his own soul, just trying to stick there for a little bit more value, but ends up taking a relatively annoying trade, but still in an okay spot. It's gone towards the lethal temper. That's not unusual on Azir.
It's the most common one now. Don't really see that many other runes for it. So gone are the days of Grasp or Fleet Footwork. Occasionally you see Conqueror. Scout's actually one of the bigger players of that. Or occasionally press the attack.
Do we see anything like Halo Blades on
No,
Azir?
not anymore. Not on the current patch. I mean, it has been in the past. Oh, hang on a second. I was actually in a bit of trouble here. He might have to flash.
Hang on. That's going to be a lot of damage. Another Hyperproc comes up through. He needs to get towards that Buckler Shield now. Can't step onto it, can shear, so Ala stays okay.
Dude, if that's me, I flash onto that Buckler and I look for the goddamn kill. Shit. Doesn't want to use the E because, of course, can get W'd, and at that point, you're in trouble. But lands onto, hang on, level 3 to level 2 as well. He's going to get the passive onto him, but he misses. Ooh, passive not quite landing.
Might do it, and it will time out shortly. Running the Invictus Gaming Kai'Sa skin, as most of our bot laners do.
Love these guys, and I love you, random citizen.
You're breathtaking.
Shit, get control of this top side. Shadow, oh, needs to be careful. This is going to be a bit of a skill check. If the wallop lands, he dies.
Needs to be very, very aware. Not using it yet, not using it yet. No one's taken aggro. Heroic charge wave, and then Wallop now flashed away from an FPX. Do a good job there of not overcommitting. And they get the flash, and they delay the back from Arla.
Yeah, Shadow does get the empowered W. Doesn't get stopped by the W. Would have been quite in danger there. Doesn't happen. Flash for free. Missing out on that knockup. Dodging out on that knockup, rather.
Scout was missing out on that one, and he's got missing as a support, which is, of course, a slight irony. But there we go. Early back from the Jinx to get a hold of that Cull with the early shove. You can cheat those early resets, so in a decent-ish spot, and Care getting traded on there by Scout will force a reset in mid as well.
Arla going towards the tier, so he's going towards the Thimble Winter and not something like... There is a Sundered Sky build for Copy, which is actually quite high damage. You see that a lot in jungle. So what happened here? Arla does actually get hit by the impact... Oh, uses the shove to get out of that. I mean, it doesn't actually change the tech. It doesn't actually change the damage coming through. He would have lost the flash either way because the wall doesn't come through. Gets a good flash out of the CC combo.
Yeah, and of course on the other side, FPX hold on to their flashes, it delays that reset. So it's not a bad gank from FPX, but it was well managed by Arlo, who did have to problem solve his way through that little gank moment. As Sheer and Arlo now in Australia have decided to once again continue their bickering. Someone didn't do the dishes.
That's normally me, isn't it? Yeah. Look, I do a great many things, but the dishes are...
Not one of them. It's true.
Not always one of them. Arla doing... I mean, he is dropping farm in this matchup, and that could be a problem. I think... Look, I think Sheer's best champion is Narc, and it can be a genuine side lane win condition. One of my big points for FPX, because I don't think they're necessarily the most diverse team in terms of playstyle, they must play towards comfort, particularly for Care and Sheer, because I think they're their most powerful carries. Assume on the Kai'Sa can actually be that too. I think he's a little bit more slim in that regard, but no Care, I think his Taliyah's been good. I think his Ahri's been good. And he had that, of course, the game last on the Taliyah, which has been becoming more into that. Sheer on his Nart is up there, though, with that. Shadow, I want to see how he can get more out of that. Ult onto Arla will take some decent damage. And Sheer, he is going to start balling out this matchup pretty heavily at some point.
Feels like that's beginning to happen already. Sheer's been playing that lane pretty well. Of course, bot side was a bit scary, but Shadow around. Chungun missing, but Shun already starting the grubs. Lilia, when grubs were first released, one of the best takes of them because she can clear all three of them straight away, which is pretty silly. Can still clear them very fast individually, of course. And you're seeing Shadow looking to try and get and steal one away. Has got Smite up and available, but Shuns will have his up as well. Gets that nice Q Smite, and so Shadow with a Comet Spear helps secure at least one and deny the whole set. In goes the rest of the combo, though. Missing, he's so excited he didn't get an aftershock. He's gone!
He just gets completely popped, missing again. Another overstep. This support from JDG has had some powerful moments, but not really recently. And as you were just pointing out to me on our screen, Care uses that ult to disengage from Scout, presumably, who outplays him, doesn't even use his own.
worth noting. Care now in danger, hits with the Q3. Scout now potentially in danger, will fade sealed away, gets interrupted, has to flash after with Shadow with the increased move speed on the Yone. Throws down the Comet Spear, can't get anything more, but you get the flash and the ult as well.
Alright, so Scout this time does actually lose some stuff. There is a 6 on Shun, who just leveled that up, so that was a little bit spooky. Shun now in bot side river, Hazala walking towards him as well. Another good early game from FPX, and dare I say it, something feels like it's in the water a little bit. Hook onto the chompers though. No, not quite there. Didn't quite proc them.
Just step forward, headbutt away, doesn't get rooted there, and that's a good job. We saw the other day where someone stopped for an auto and got rooted on the chompers. It was brutal stuff. Just to back away on this one. We head towards a look into mid lane. Scout in danger! Oh! Last auto! Solo kill for Care, and he survives!
How does he get away with that? Care gets a care package at the courtesy of Scout. Care takes the solo kill.
Misses the cannon afterwards, but I think he'll take the 300 gold. Nice work! Doesn't even blow the flash.
I'm telling you, something's in the water. Winning matchup in top lane, bot lane doing fine, missing going down early, and suddenly a solo kill in the mid lane. Scout, after such a good run of form, what happens here? Ends up going forward. Care has been stacking up the lethal temper all this time, gets himself enough HP. 15 HP. 15 HP, but that's 14 more than he needed.
All the while you're looking at Scout, who queues back to claim that minion, and it was just a mistake because Care goes, cool, I can shield, I can go forwards, 2 autos and a dream. Now an extra kill up that 100 or so gold, and Scout kicking himself a little bit. But yeah, the farm looking good for the Yone. Zone Care off a couple bits earlier on when that play around the river happened, I think. And that's great news for Scout, but losing those solo kills is gonna suck. Throws down a control ward, does Shun. Won't look for a mid lane gank as it stands. All the while though, plate claim by Pays on the reset from Rasum. We'll at least get a minion there with the Void Seeker, and we kind of pull away with FPX again. As you said, the solid early game here.
Pays, however, even in gold, still stacking up a cull. That's scary. Pays, in the last game on Corki, did a lot of damage on the Jinx. And while I think there is a good angle for FPX here, it would be beneath us to not mention the fact that Pays is one of the goddamn best AD carries of the last few years. He has been incredibly potent, and he has himself a good angle to win teamfights himself. Dragon has spawned. No one's taken the first one just yet, so it actually has been spawned for a little while. Might see an angle towards this soon. Shadow in a little bit of trouble.
Won't have the Lilting Lullaby popped on him, so gets to stay a week. No need for the anesthetics yet. When are we getting a Surgeon Skin? Now the Aegis comes up through, not fantastic from the angle on Shadow, who's surely about to fall, does finally die. Missing in danger, Assume needs to try and ult and find a way on out. Can't quite get the kill. The passive doesn't come on through. And JDG find loads of kills as FPX fumble in the river.
They do. Assume doesn't flash the ultimate, doesn't ult the ultimate either. I don't know what he's doing there, but that's a big mistake because suddenly that ticking time bomb of the Jinx we were talking about for a player like Pays has got a lot of gold. FPX talking good about them. The JDG, make no mistake, just got themselves into a huge position.
Call it out for Shadow. That Aegis Assault, not a great angle on it. And Assume tries to stick around to get a hold of that passive, then flash out, but can't do it, and so doesn't get the kill back onto missing. A lot goes wrong there.
I'm sure we'll get a replay of that because that was a really big fight, but there's a bunch of small mechanical things to talk about. I think Care not going in for a shuffle was actually quite important there too. Hang on a second. Shun does have Smite. It's going to get a bit close though.
I got nervous.
I know you did. I can tell. As the replay is going to come through now. The hook lands onto Shadow, who puts the he reacts in time to press E, but not the right direction. I think Care had to save his shuffle to get a proper sweep on someone. Like maybe he was afraid to go into melee range of the Lilia. Shun gets a great amount of damage through there. I don't think FPX were ready for that fight, and they didn't respond appropriately.
Well, that brings the gold back to a lead for JDG, getting some really important kills onto the Yone and onto that Jinx. Got a Wild Arrows completed before the culls even cashed in. Those are good win cons, those are good places to have that gold. Grubs have just spawned. JDG obviously got 2 of the first set, and with that Dragon on top as well, can look to really start leveraging a bit of the lead here. Rocket comes on through,
stops the reset
back.
Yeah, stops the reset, and that's nice. It might hang on, Scout does have ult. There is a chance that he forces flash here from Care, actually.
I was wondering that
chooses not to. Could have gone forwards for E-ult combo. Always a little bit scary when you're sat on, not full health against the Yone. 5 grubs over to JDG. FPX lose the Dragon as well. Now FPX need to find themselves a way to bunker down. They do have this Gnar who will be starting to eke out some advantages in sideline versus the Poppy, but it's not happening too quickly. Arla, of course, a very good individual laner, and doing well to not let that Gnar get too far ahead.
That is the plan. 1,000 gold right now are JDG. The majority of that is in the mid and bot lanes, which is fantastic news for JDG. Less good news for FPX, and literally the moment we started praising them, he fumbled a really important Dragon by Arla. Eats a pretty big chunk there from Sheer, but I don't think it's going to be a lethal threat. Missed the big cannon. I would love to get to this wave as well, but that's a big wave for Sheer to play around. Shun's coming on up though, and he's still held onto the W. Sheer now in danger. Gets knocked up with the Grand Starfall. It's all been a ruse! Arla now in danger. Finally puts up the steadfast presence, but to what end? Flash for the Comet Sphere. Flash over the wall.
Oh, the predict!
Is a wonderful predict from Care, who goes sliding and gliding and divides Arla from his health bar.
Double globals come through, it's a teleport, and it's an ultimate. And suddenly, the numbers are not so even anymore. Thought he had Shun in the back pocket, and he did. It just wasn't enough to make the difference. Who gets that kill? It's Care. That is it. Could be absolutely game-changing for FPX. I mean, we talked about Jinx in a similar way. It's hard-ish to play the Azir into the Poppy, and sometimes into the Nautilus too. So we'll have to play very, very respectfully of those big denial tools or engage tools from FPX. Scout put on top side, does have flash, does have ult. He's gonna have to use them, might just have to.
Uses one, but the rest of FPX now coming on up. Initial one-man Acadian range, unblinds the soul, gets knocked into the wall, tries to rebind it. Scout now in danger, flash away, assume under the turret, ults on in, gets the kill, and they've already tagged up the turret. FPX clean dive. First chunk onto Asuna, I think took a last turret shot on a reset.
He took a turret shot, because he was a bit afraid of Shun pulling the sleep on the top side. So FPX using their globals, using their longer range abilities. That is an ult going top side, but Sheer will be able to block it. Does do so, doesn't really lead to that much. Mid lane though, with 5 grubs being pushed, some good gold for JDG.
Yeah, swift enough on the reset to come and play most of that. Those are a couple plates going back towards this Jinx, who's still 1,200 gold ahead, because of course of all these plates that JDG are picking up mid and bot. FPX with the proactive play. But JDG once again very good at these cross maps.
JDG very quick onto the turrets. Care will be able to pick up this before, but just a little bit of gold bleeding out. 1,000 gold the advantage for JDG still. We'll say that, you know, Sheer managing to get some alone time on sides, very important to him. Scout no ultimate, can't do that much here, I don't think.
Play to the Ruin King, so there's always a bit of a question.
It's a bit scary,
spike,
actually.
A big spike for Yone.
You, yeah, full build Yone. Turns out the only thing which is more full build earlier than Yone is Ramp Scepter for Aurelia, and then level 3 Poppy. Doesn't need anything more than that.
Red buff.
Yeah, you know, that's luxury.
Back in my day.
1,000 gold lead for pays, though. This is a problem. We did see Hope do this to Light the other day, although, I mean, Light had to lane with Pung, so can't do much about that. Sky was spotted going into here, but I think Shadow has reason to back.
Check what he buys on this reset. I'm assuming with 45 seconds into Dragon, it's a good time to back, gets the hold of the Mercury Tread, so able to deal with some of that CC.
Yeah, so FPX wanting... They want a big fight around this Dragon, and the important thing is they need to find a fight where Pays is not decking them. He has a cashed in cult, he has item and boots, which is actually very strong for Jinx. Jinx, as soon as you get that first item and the boots, you threaten to get a reset and you will raid chase people down. You have that 25% stack up because she's been hitting the wave long enough.
Wondering what that emote was, and it's just a penguin cleaning. I was like, Care is indeed clean with it. I was like, what on earth is that? I had to make the emote bigger.
Okay, Dragon up in 10 seconds. Ala has TP, so does Sheer. What's the play now? Contesting this mid wave. I think JDG have slightly better position on the map. Shun will get himself another camp heading towards that play. Kes spots actually Scout in the spot side. He's in a pretty good point right now. Nash is in the burn item as well. Be happy with that.
Sheer has TP, but the Mega Gnar will likely run out well before he gets over there. So there's a world where, yes, you can bring in your Gnar, but it won't be at a particularly scary point per se.
Scuttlecraft's going to be taken. Ala stops that dash. That's a bit of a problem now, actually.
Damage from this Poppy getting a bit heavy as they'll look towards mid lane. We're looking for an angle. Flash for the head.
Oh my god!
He's in danger. Flashing on forward last order. The Grand Starfall! Knock up from the depth. Charge brings them low. Turret after. Lilting Lullaby prevents the follow-up. And FPX went looking for Pays. But if you aim for the Prince of AD Carries, you best not miss.
It's not really about even the Nautilus there. It's Assume ulting over the wall for a passive he can't kill with. Assume that we praised on his Kai'Sa makes a huge mistake. And that brings JDG into a big win in this part of the game. Yes, Pays loses both his summoners, but JDG have real full control of the map now.
Just pick up mid and bot and get the kill. Big, big moment. They might be able to turn over the dragon as well, which would just be absolutely everything they could ever ask for. At least Shun also picks up the Herald, so I take it back. JDG are going to get both objectives, 2 turrets and a kill.
Yep, they get everything. They get absolutely everything. Assume, big mistake. I think he loses himself in the big play. This is a good start, but you don't have a way to cross the wall. We do potentially have a solo kill, though.
Shit's nearly at Mega. Arla's going to die here, surely. Last auto does it. Doesn't even need the Mega. Good work from Sheer.
Honestly, couldn't have come at a much later point. FPX, after losing that huge run of play, needs something happening on the map. JDG just had a huge win. We talked about this ticking time bomb of pace. Who's now 2,000 gold ahead. One of our very best across our league. Yone didn't manage to finish off this dragon, so it is potentially going to be just finished off by FPX here. JDG not able to stick on both sides of the map.
Pick that up. Feats of strength worth noting. JDG to get Rocket.
Oh, he gets it!
Stolen.
Shadow panics. He panics and smites early. Missing picks it up. Oh, that's a big win for JDG. Panic now on FPX's faces.
Oops. There's a second dragon over for JDG. After all the work that FPX just put in, they want to claim this turret bot side if they can. Sheer shoving on up. Doesn't have a TP of his own. Jway. Not going to do that. I nearly went J-Way, which is just not how you pronounce that. I did it, J-Way.
Okay. Right. 2,000 gold up for 2,000 gold in the advantage for JDG. Tries to ult Sheer away with the teleport, mistimes it. And then discovers that Gnar doesn't actually need to hop at you to get all of the stats he needs. This is a great steal. This is actually very important because last game it was a sole win condition from FPX. Smites early. 11 HP! 11 HP! That is a very satisfied smile. And a bit of a sigh of relief, maybe.
Q smite combo from Shadow. I don't blame him for looking at it. It's what you do on things like Pantheon, but you can't mistime that.
Man. JDG. I think they're now pretty happy with things. The one thing which I think they need to be aware of is if they take fights without Jinx summoners, I think they can still lose quite handily. That's the thing they need to be really aware of.
There's a lot of tools to get onto the Jinx.
To an extent, I mean, Poppy W can do wonders, Sam. It can do a great many great and terrible things. Missing, gotta be careful. I was actually really worried for him there. Had that flash, but we've seen him get caught out around that spot.
Stay
in that position. This time last game.
I think probably because Arla's been asked to lane, he's the one who has to go forwards, and Shun is perhaps understandably a little wary on this Lilia without having something like an arm guard. So, he's always a vague threat. Nautilus without the aftershock, and again, it's gone Glacial Augment, so it's not a very tanky Nautilus either, worth noting. He's gone more to set up his team, and that's fair enough, all things said and done, but you are not that tanky, especially only at boots.
Yeah. I think at this point in the game, you have to assume JDG are... I'm not going to say it's their game to lose, but they definitely have the advantage. FPX, the way they can claw this back is by enough side lane pressure and by catching out Pays enough with globals, and it has to really be Pays, that he can't team fight effectively. This is the thing which I'm very passionate about as broadcasters, as talent, what you often want to do is give you, the viewer, something like an easy to understand tagline to walk away from the series. LPL for me, and that tagline is the region of cooldown economy. One of the reasons we fight so boldly and off away from our objective timers in many points in the region's history is because you want to take away flashes from a mid laner, cleanse from an AD carry, ultimates away from important people with ultimates. In this kind of game, FPX must show that regional skill set to take away those summoners from Pays before the big fights where he comes in with such a huge gold advantage can come to bear.
With 2 minutes until that dragon, now might be a good time to burn those cooldowns in terms of ultimates because they will be back up in time for that objective summoners a little less regularly. They'd like to play for this tier 1 on the bot side. Shadow, Jway, and Sheer all here with a Sum off to the side looking for a potential killer instinct angle. Turret secured, and FPX playing the map a little wider.
Alright, gives him a little bit of positioning. Of course, Ruinous Atacon is up. If you give that over to JDG, you are not feeling happy about the scout. It's a good trade that. Just the Yone classic of walking forward and pinging back before he can take 2 turret shots, just takes the 1. If you time it right, you can actually just take 0 if you just do the single auto attack. Something that Zeus was very, very good at doing at Worlds 2023 in their running. Of course, they got a skin for Jinx, this one currently from that run.
Oh, so it is.
It is T1 Jinx. I didn't realize it first, and I really realized the ultimate was probably the T1 one. I don't normally play with that skin. I'm still very fond of Star Guardian.
It's very good, really cool.
Yeah, it's cute.
I'm trying to think which one I play on Jinx.
Do you even play Jinx anymore?
I do, very occasionally.
Nice.
Project occasionally would felt like the rocket on that one.
I don't like the fur on the skins. I don't know why I added that, Sam. It annoys me. But the rocket is pretty good. I do play Project Lucian. Project Lucian's fun. Assume has Ink Shadow, I believe, actually, in this one. So,
No, actually, no, it's IG with the Chroma.
oh, yes, the gold one. Well, yeah, most people do play the IG one. Alrighty. 40 seconds till Dragon. FPX can't I mean, it's Chemtech Soul. I mean, if you're diving onto a Jinx, I mean, anything to keep her alive is valuable for JDG. You do get Tenacity from the base Dragons as well. FPX won't want to give that up. I was going to get that top lane turret. Has the teleport. Has a Fimbulwinter and a Sunfire, so he's actually very tanky at this point in the game. Scout, is he actually doing this or just stacking up Q? Because those are two very different things. Stacking up the Q is actually very important. I guess he actually was genuinely looking to see if he could one-man it.
10 seconds on Chem Soul Point for JDG. They might instead look to play for this tier 2 because again they've got that advantage in terms of the map.
Shadow's off of Vision and he does have ultimate. I wonder whether Shadow can look for one of those picks off of that global. Jway spotted out. I think JDG have enough pieces in place to respond. Hang on, do they have enough pieces to respond very quickly? That was actually very close. That blast going fairly clutch. Good ult, potentially angle coming through.
Still comes on down. Lilting Lullaby is not.
Glacial Augment down. So, tense stuff, folks. For FPX, you can see their score in the top corner. 1 and 4 in series. Aftercan started up, not the Dragon actually. Holding this tri-brush is very important. The hook out of the bush can be very important. I mean, Visig needs to be a little careful. Gets that one for free.
Sheer onto a tier 2, not here. Throws up the Sunset, down to 1000 HP. Trying to build towards a Mega, can look for a TP angle. Are there good wards? Beginning to tip back in now.
I think they look at this point. I think we give it. We don't have the terrain. I think giving the Dragon that actually might be a problem. They didn't get the flowers. FPX don't know. Well, no, do they have any wards? No, they don't. Nah, going to be recalling. Scout will return to the flowers now. Of course, one of the big prizes from that. FPX give up an awful lot for Sheer to get even more gold advantage. I mean, Sheer, buddy, you're going to have to pay this off. That is a lot given over for it. JDG, I think they're giving hard decisions over to FPX. They are a good macro team, by and large. I think particularly Arla trying his best to survive in the side lane. He's done a good job of delaying a little bit of the impact of that Gnar. But Gnar gouting up towards now a Wit's End going third. We'll see just how much Sheer can do.
Again, your Wit's End, yes, Yone has some mixed damage, but it's mainly for this Lilia.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing, especially if you are asked to be a bit of a split push option. Wit's End's good, and it's tenacity, which is nice. That's
actually the big thing I was going to mention. Sterak's gives you 20% tenacity. You also get tenacity from Wit's End. You build up both. You have a lot of ability to shrug off something. You know, like the Poppy W, the Poppy Stun. Of course, the Lilia ult being the big one, really, that you're going to be ignoring. But I don't know if you can win this game through side lane win condition. I think it's very hard. Yes, you have a Pantheon, but no, JDG, I think they're so good at deathballing and forcing down stuff like the Baron. The Lilia takes that so quickly. They are really playing. Hang on a second. He's just used E. Oh, Scout, that's a problem.
Got a Q3 available. Needs to think about landing it, but steps away with Scout looking for the retreat. Flash. Oh, it's not going to be allowed because he's body blocked by Shadow. Scout trying to heal on up against an Immortal Shield. Gets Q3 over, but Sheer will flash to keep hunting. Spirit Cleave comes on through. Grand Starfall used as well. The ult from Poppy goes well wide. Scout is down.
FPX needed to play around side lanes, and that will very much help them. JDG, their mid laner, makes a mistake. FPX have really just said, look, Sheer, you're our guy. You're on comfort. This is your best champion. We're going to give you all the resources necessary, even though we might end up losing in the objective game. JDG, they need to be aware of this. They do need to be very hyper aware of the fact that FPX will be forcing on sides as much as possible.
And to be fair to Scout, he tried to play that one out pretty well. Tries to ult over the wall, body blocked by the side of Shadow. Then he stacks up Q3, Q3's over the Krug Pit wall, followed then by a flash and an ult, and finally falls down. But I give him credit for trying to survive. It took a lot longer than I thought it might.
I mean, he stacks up the Q. Scout plays this bit very, very well, actually. Shadow not able to get that Q3, but does get the body block. He does get a lot of summoners for this, but dying on the sideline, getting more gold over the Sheer, is a little bit worrying. Because again, everything is being given for Sheer. Dodges out in that Poppy ultimate, which I believe it wasn't blind at that point because it shouldn't have given him the vision. But oh man, FPX, they have identified how they think they're going to win. We will see. I think it's very hard to win through side lanes against JDG like this. I think Yone, not often a champion you can get opportunities like that against, and JDG have themselves great objective damage to force the fights later into the game.
Third item just got completed by Pays on this Jinx, so has now got that Mortal Reminder alongside the Wild Arrows and the Infinity Edge, so a lot of damage now in for there. 2.5 for the Kai'Sa is not bad, and she'll have that W upgrade, so can play a bit longer range, but still not the same level of damage as this Jinx.
No, but what they do have is that ultimate to join those side lane plays. If you're playing around side lanes and you just send the Pantheon, you just send the Kai'Sa, you have multiple options to kind of split your globals apart. Maybe that could be a win con. maybe it feels like we're spinning a very thin thread here. But that's the nature of playing against LPL top teams, especially our strategists like Anyone's Legend and JDG when they get ahead of the game. Baron's getting started up. We did highlight the JDG have very good objective damage in the past. FPX,
don't know.
You can't. Taking a 5v5 is hard. They want to play through side lanes, but they also don't know this is going down. This is difficult. They need to check with a Kai'Sa W, Blue Trinket instead.
Look where Shadow is, though. He's on the bot lane. They're giving it up.
They're just giving it up. I mean, JDG, they make the right choice, but make no mistake, FPX are the ones that choose to let this happen. JDG call their bluff and say, right, you take your side lane advantage. We have a Baron. It's much better for us.
Minute until Dragon. That might be a play point here as the Wit's End just got completed by Shears. That third item is in and available. But a big objective to let slip for FPX. They're down about 2,000 gold. The gold was back to even, actually, after a lot of those plays. But FPX now going to have to play with a lot of those objective discrepancies beginning to haunt them.
You do have Flash on Jway, but not on Shadow to force plays. I think that's a really important summoner spell.
Worth noting as well, Assume just got that third item after the Baron went down, so I can understand saying, look, we just can't play with Assume only at 2.5. The Nash's 2 completion could be significant.
Yeah, and I think you're now at a problem where if you're forced to answer an objective 40 seconds till the Chemtech, Paze has both summoners. What did we mention before? LPL is the region of cooldown economy. If Paze has those big tools, the cleanse and the flash, much harder to take a team fight against them if you're FPX. Particularly now because you can just say, right, this is Sol, we can call everyone to the play. I don't care if you're going to take like an inner turret or something. Paze can sit there and really protect that Jinx.
Scout steps on forward, gets a little bit of a chunk on the sheer.
With the infedge, it's a good amount of damage actually, 100% crit, that third item for, you know what I mean? So actually maybe they can clean up a team fight too. So we have Stopwatch for Care, full Zhonya's for Shun, those are very important. This could be our big fight here. Dragon spawning, there is a ward in the pit. That Swell Seed is really nice.
It's a big chunk on the Shadow at this point in the game. The Swell Seeds with the AP behind them really sting.
Jway, does he flash in for something? Pops that E, gets hooked in. That's a lot of damage onto the Alistair, has to pop the ult early.
Looks to go back onto Missing, who also eats a lot of damage, but the ult being down is significant. Zap comes on through, Keeper's Verdict wound up, doesn't get used though. W's begin to come
Pantheon ult, Pantheon ult.
Where is it going? Into the right backline. Arla trying to buy time as the Care, who survived for a moment, but how much longer? On the other side, Paze, excited. Cheer can't secure the kill as Paze is out to safety. Finally ulted into a wall. Will survive though nonetheless. This AD carry import from Korea will not fall.
With Swirl Seeds and Rockets, Jingdong Gaming will take themselves to a Game 3, determined not to get double tapped by these plucky upstarts Fun plus Phoenix.
Oh, no flash on the Gnar, no flash on the Pantheon. It was always going to be hard to get onto the Jinx with her summoners up, and it was. Jingdong will not go down easily. They will not go down quietly. Bring us to a Game 3, but they are sweating here, make no mistake about it.
I think the real MVP of that game for me is Shun on that Lilia. That Lilia is such a power pick. I mean, I have to say, not actually a good casted-in game. You suck into Sejuani and Renekton. The Victor, sure, you can deal with that. There's some definitely things you can do importantly there. This is actually not a good casted-in game, though. Care will have to prove to us that this is a good enough pick for him.
Oh boy, well, that will be interesting to track. Again, you've got a good combo. Vi plus Casted plus Nico in the bullet time. You definitely can dive onto people, but that's kind of agnostic then of looking at the other comp. It's blind to it. What if JDG drafted Sejuani plus melees, a lot of zone control, a lot of CC, a lot of safety, bluntly. This Victor and Jhin will not be easy dive targets with this kind of draft. And as you said, the Casted hopping into melee range of her.
Both of the LPL. FPX fallen on hard times, but both in ascend, both going to the brink. Let's go it on.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他们。
Stacking the spot, man. No Gios at the minute. Maybe we'll have to do it ourselves. Once more as Arla might be in danger. Shadow needs to think about Vault Breakering away. Won't be collapsed on enough mobility at the level 1 for that Vi to get away.
Bit of a problem. That's your worst clearing ability at the level 1, so Shadow's start will be delayed. He'll have a slower camp 1, and no one really wants to go leash for him. The Cassante doesn't want to be screwed over by the Renekton in that early laning phase. Sheer has a lot to prove on this Cassante. Whoa! And speaking of that, will it even be played against it? Because Kassadin, okay in lane versus the Victor. Not okay in the lane versus the Renekton. Hasn't leveled anything yet. He is going to get a mean surprise. Arla has shifted lanes into mid lane and will be 1v1ing the Kassadin. Instead, Victor looking to bully out the Cassante.
Now they know. Oh, wow. JDG. There's the Force Pulse to clear out at least that initial wave of minions, but that's going to be a rough time. The W alone is a miserable time for Kassadin.
So what we're likely going to see is a bit of a cat and mouse around the map now, because FPX want to get out of this lane as soon as possible. If they use a teleport to do so, JDG will then just counter teleport with their own member. These are the lane matchups which I think get the most for them. See that Sheer started the E, uses that to tank up the Scorch from Scout. I've not seen a team do this for a very long time, but hey, if it gets your Kassadin out of the early game,
Grand entrance. Comes on through, and that's the heal and cleanse bot by Assume and Jway. And they went for a Nico Misfortune, and this lane should be crazy dominant, you'd imagine.
Yep. This is a problem. This is a problem. I think that the solo lanes were already in a bad spot. Now it's worse. The Force Spell start, not awful for Cap. You can use that W as well to get the extended auto attack range. That can definitely help. All right, Blast Soap. Be able to pick this up. But you are very unhappy versus their Renekton. The good thing is it's a short lane, and you can at least get yourself safely under tower. The problem is your jungle matchup gets absolutely screwed. Shadow's going to go towards top side, get towards these Raptors. He needs to get some camps on the board, of course, and if Shun gets ahead, and Shadow gets behind, rather, it can be a bit of fun. I'll just being a pain in the ass. His Q is up right now. No, he can't. His Q right up right now. It should be okay to get over this. No! That's a problem.
Hang on, Caston think you're coming, but so's the Victor. Where does Shadow go? I think he's going into a grey squeeze where he's going on the blast cone. But to what end? Where does he go? This direction can look to Vault Breaker away. Goes out to safety and is alright for now. Is he looking for the Krug? Scout also hunting. Caston still clearing the wave. And the wave being frozen away recalls out.
Oh, Shadow somehow manages to make up the most of that. However, while all this is happening, Shun gets himself some free time. And Shadow now loses, access to the top side camps he should have had more of. Ala's lost some XP, but this is Renekton Sejuani forced the flash out of that Kassadin. JDG giving a lot of curveballs over to FPX. I'm not sure they're catching many of them.
Yeah, lost the additional red buff to still pick up Krugs, and that bot side Scuttle Crab probably can Shadow, so could have been a lot worse. Looks like it was FPX versus TES. In fact, that might have been that game you were talking about.
I actually wonder, that might be one of the first games which I cast here in the LPL as well. It's a long time ago. Well, exactly in a galaxy far, far away, even though Kassadin does look a little bit like Darth Vader. Oh no, we're back on Star Wars tracks. But Cap, I guess he's gotten actually more out of this laning phase than I thought. Shit, also doing okay in the lane. The difference has actually been in the jungle matchup. Using that Renekton to perma-shove, the Kassadin can't contest you at all, and then walk into the jungle, being a Renekton Sejuani from the mid-jungle. That's been the difference so far, but it hasn't materialized in everything so far.
I also want to wonder, as Assume might be in danger here. He'll get knocked up into the Deadly Flourish. There'll be a bit of a chunk afterwards, and Assume eats a fair chunk. There's got a couple biscuits and can look to reset here if she wants. Of course, Misfortune with the strut, still pretty quick to get back to lane.
Cat trying to farm as good as possible. Minion aggro is going to lose in one range minion there, but doing a good enough job of picking up a decent amount of farm. Will be down basically a wave, but you're against a Renekton as a Kassadin. I suppose you take that. Your XP is fine. See what build he goes for. I'd imagine it's going to be the
Rower.
The Rower will be the Rower, but then the question is, what else do you go with that? Do you go for the Rower and the Seraphs for more survivability? Does that matter against the Renekton Sejuani? You need a Malignance at some point, most of the time. Typically see that. Scout doing quite well at building out here, but then again, Sheer's doing quite well at picking up farm too. He's actually going to be ahead of Scout in terms of CF if picks up everything.
That's because Sheer managed to freeze that wave just outside of tower when Scout went hunting for Shadow in the jungle, and kept him in this lane pretty well. Of course, he's not having a great time right now, but has got a teleport to get back into lane. Just hit level 6, looks for the path, make a force flash out of Scout. Q3 could look for it all out and does so! Now Scout, with no level 6, in so much danger! The TPs are flying, Gravity Field is there, and Sheer needs to start running. TP plus flash is pretty good going. TP now lands, and Sheer gets huge value.
This is a game-changing teleport. Remember what we said, if you want to escape these matchups as FPX, you might need to use a teleport. Well, Ala's just had to use his. Care now teleports back into mid lane, and maybe that changes the lane assignment. Shun knows that Care doesn't have himself an ultimate. It doesn't have flash. Might have the ultimate still. Oh, uses it.
Try to clear the wave. Needs to be a bit wary. Knock up just wide. Deadly Flourish. Does land, but he gets over the wall. Flash for the permafrost stack. Should come on through. Care now in danger. Needs to find a boat way to get over the wall. Hops out. Wow long on the cooldowns. Missing. Looking for the grand entrance. Knocks him up. and Shun should finish him down. Does secure the kill, but it burns an extra summoner or two.
Still, he just caught out a little bit in the chaos of the map. JDG, again, they're throwing curveballs, doing different things. Very early roams across the map. That being said, I mean, you expect to be down a little bit as the Kassadin. I think that actually Cassante is doing very well here, all things said and done. I almost wonder whether JDG haven't got as much out of this early game as they would have liked. The big difference is that jungle matchup. They get the dragon, they'll get themselves 2 out of the 3 grubs. But we are getting towards level 6 marks now for FPX, which is a better start for them. Care can play a little bit more dynamically in lane. He is down, obviously, a good amount of CS now. I suppose actually revisiting things, maybe Care has lost a little bit more than he would have liked. But we're definitely in uncharted territory here for the current meta.
Then again, so is Scout. He's at a similar CS total as that Victor. And again, you still had that wave shoved. You still got the teleport. You still got to pick up some of that wave. So at this point, with the tier, with the double ruby crystal, a little bit harder to manage. And now you're into the matchup you're after anyway. And it's not like Scout's like super ahead of the curve either. So this should be playable. It sucks as the Kassadin, but it could have been so much worse. And they've, once again on the Observer end, switched our matchup, so we have an idea about the various gold leads as they actually stand in the lanes as they were supposed to.
And yeah, the biggest one is, of course, that jungle matchup. Shun, you know, been up and down in terms of form. I think that his game 1 was less good. Game 2, actually very, very impactful on that Lilia. Here in the Sejuani, one of the true tanks in this game alongside that Cassante, has a lot of different ways he can play out the map around that Renekton, and of course around the Rakan too, both in very long-range engaged duos. Gotta say though, FPX, they were hoping for more from this bot lane early on. It's a little bit of an advantage, but they didn't get the push that they needed to. And I think that allowed JDG to have a lot more control over this jungle than they wanted. And Shadow, who's so important to FPX, is bearing the brunt of the bot lane's mistakes.
I genuinely don't know whether, because we didn't see the early level, because we were following the lane swap, understandably, whether it was a choice by Asuming to not attack the wave because they thought they were going to get pushed in anyway, so overshoving would have got them killed. But I don't know.
But then the problem is, if that is the case, why did you still end up blowing cleanse and heal in that first level? You don't blow both of them because it means you can't walk up again. You just basically walked up, didn't get yourself the push on the wave, and then ended up getting W'd anyway.
I hear it.
It's a problem. This is just a misplay. Sheer actually doing, you know, again, quite well, considering that Cassante is not a champion that people play right now. Hang on a second, where's the W coming through to? Did we get anything more? No.
It's a slap instead. Intofo's hurt, and
yeah. I think one of the big things that I was speaking to Finn about this because I think, oh, hang on a second, he might actually go for an all out here. The problem is he has the Dominus. This is the big thing. Cassante on release would just go for an all in there because people didn't realize you can just take small trades and then ult way later if you want to. And you know, if he had gone for that, would have gone to Shun hit. Gets through on that shield. He can get the ult out. Gets a great W.
Still looks to go all out here if required. Hasn't yet to do so. Still has no flash. I think he just dies there as the Culver Meat comes back on up. And enough CC and damage to bring down the Cassante.
That's a problem now because now Ala gets plate gold. Sheer should have ulted earlier, I think. Uses that W fairly effectively. But if he ults, maybe he gets himself another E, another W to get through it. Now suddenly Ala gets himself almost 1,000 gold ahead. That's a problem.
Shadow on the spot side. Smite fight over the Scuttle Crab. One
Another
by
miss
Shun
shuffle.
as it begins to heal on up.
It's not a smite fight. Shun doesn't have smite, so it's not a smite fight.
Oh dear.
So Shadow just missed smites, much like he did on the Dragon earlier. Panic from Shadow for someone who's done so well for FPX. That's not a smite fight though.
It just started healing as he smoked, which is really bad timing occasionally. Ult now popped by Scout to keep care of his head. Got himself the tier and the catalyst and inventory, so clearly going for that double build on the staff. Scout gets hopped on regardless. The Rift Walk be happening, and somewhere out there, Little Nas is nodding his head along. He's literally start walking on the skin, I'm just saying.
Kassadin has always been one of Care's comfort picks. He picks it out occasionally. 2023 was definitely when he was playing it a little bit more. He played it once or twice, and he played it once in spring, once in summer, actually, from memory. So as I said, had a quadra kill at some point in one of those games. Quadra kill. Yeah, as you said, going towards the double scaling mana items.
So that's what we were hoping to have happen with Dway on this Nico. Do that into a double up or into a bullet time, and people can have a bad time.
Sheer teleports towards top side, goes towards the Victor lane again, actually. Oh no, no, the wrong way around. I saw different icons. That's the thing. Anyway, right, Care and Sheer do teleport into various lanes that they want to be in. Dragon started by Shun. Objective dominance for JDG and 2,000 gold ahead at 11 minutes. It's starting to... The dam is creaking, folks. The dam is creaking.
well. You can see on the the mini-map, that it's also strictly a picture-in-picture in kind of a particularly abstract way, but the grubs were started by FPX. They'll look to trade those out at the very least. Are we going to get a contest, though, as Overcome's missing and Pace?
Well, I mean, they'd like to get one more. They do have the smite for this one. They should be able to get at least 3. Oh my god, Shadow. Are you kidding me? Shadow! 3 awful smites in this series. They are genuinely costing your team strategic opportunities. I've had so much to praise on this guy, but that miss smite there, even onto the Scuttle Crab, which is meant to get you even in terms of farm, these are big mistakes, Shadow.
That was a toe curler, that one. I'm a jungler by trade, and that one made me shiver. I can imagine the all chat right now. That's not good. And we said, look, if there was anyone to watch on FPX to know whether the team is winning, it is Shadow, finding fights, looking good, being the proactive player on the team. If he is not, if he's tilting, the team looks lost. They need him to go nuclear, is the way we've been phrasing.
Care. Level 9. Of course, the level 11 with 2 items is also huge for casting as well. It doesn't need to get level 16 to be relevant, but that's when things get nasty as hell. I will say, even with the time bomb-ish of the Victor, hang on a second, Scout does have flash. Here comes Shun.
Top Blossom after will land on to that Rakan, but should be able to battle dance out to safety. Now Shadow's in danger, needs to jump away, can do. Care now in danger as he's slowed down, but everyone stays alive for now. Shun, no ult. Scout, no ult. Pays looking for an angle on in here with a potential ult available to him. Care holds his nerve under the turret, 4-shot available. Pays, eats a nether sphere. Pull away from that one.
Null Sphere, sir.
Null Sphere, sorry.
Nether Blade and then the Null Sphere.
I know, I actually sort of second-guessed myself on that one and got it wrong.
Yeah, you got the Void Stone as the passive, Null Sphere is your Q,
Force Pulse is the E.
Force Pulse is your E, and Nether Blade is your W, and of course your Rift Walk. That's your ultimate. But yeah, Care, I don't even think this is a great Castellan game. You struggle into the Renekton. I think you can struggle into Victor too at points, because he just ends up, marking your location. And if there's a landing point and you get Sejuani queued or Sejuani passive, that goes into the graph field, and then you really struggle after that point. Even the Rakan and the Jhin very good at going into that. Really, you want the Castellan to play against a low CC team, and that's just not going to happen here. There's too much CC, so Care really needs to prove that this is the pick. You didn't have pressure early, sure, whatever. I mean, there are many champions which can do that, but you have to have some kind of payoff.
About 1,500 gold behind at this point, which is pretty significant. It's not out of reach. Jhin gone towards the Ghost Blade first. We've seen a few of our Jhins do this rather than something like a Collector. A bit more move speed, a bit more upfront lethality can feel pretty good here. Delay full crit scaling, but that first item spike is pretty good on the Jhin.
That's the Yushi build. We've just seen a lot of value, of course. In this game, no, not great against the Cassante, but you don't want to be hitting that. Hang on a second. That's really? Shadow didn't, but Shadow didn't ult. That was why everyone pulled their ult. Shadow would have just ulted him in place. Surely that's got to be the play. I'm calling that one on Shadow. I'm sorry, my dude, but I feel like that had to start the combo. Dway flashes, as soon pulls the ult, and it's just an airball.
Gets away safely and missing with a flash and a heal. Gets out himself, ult away from Care. The Rift Walk keeps him out from that grand entrance. Scout now going to get towards this tier 1. That would be first turret of the game and a mark towards those feats of strength. Care can't get towards that wave, so has to drop another set of minions. Just clear it off with the Force Pulse and the Rift Walk afterwards, at the very least.
Oh, FPX. They are not helping themselves, are they? I think they've had some good moments. Sheer getting that teleport and the flash out of Scout early. That was teleport out of Ala and out of flash out of Scout. I thought that was actually really good. There were some moments where FPX could have converted. Shadow not having the best time, failing the Q over the wall in the mid lane to delay his own jungle pathing. That's not awesome, actually. Grasping is so much easier into this as it had casted, actually. So much better in that 1v1. So much more HP that Casper just can't cut through. Hang on, he doesn't have a tower. That could be a good problem. I'll have force on bot side, but he still has Dominus.
Yeah, just still looking for the Vault Breaker into the Smite slow. There's a Cease and Desist available. Still holding on that one for a second or two. They will now use it after the flash spin boat into that Tangle Barbs. Care still running away. Can't quite get the ult up in time. Still level 10, so it becomes a 1-for-1.
So at least the Renekton dies on one side, but I mean, you've given a lot of gold over to the Victor. You have to push in with your 4 grubs onto this top side as well. FPX, I feel like they've traded down in the grand majority of moments in this game. This Castellan pick is just not working. That's going to be spread gold. I mean, it's between the Rakan and 250 gold onto Rakan means nothing, and onto the Sejuani means less as well. That actually means it's much less valuable for JDG. Dragon taken by FPX. Well, hang on a second, is it?
TP in is from the Victor. TP in turn from one of Care or Sheer. Looks like it will be Care. Arla needs to back away. Slices out. I think that might have been a...
Shen looking for the smite still. He's not just up yet. Shadow has a smite. Lands it this time for once.
Sheer now in danger. Still got that ability to try and escape potentially, but gets CC for forever. Flash and gets himself away with a Pathmaker for a second, but can't footwork any further. And the Grand Entrance comes on in.
Where's your W?
Him down.
He uses the W far too late, my dude. We've been playing Cassandre for years at this point. You have to make sure you go unstoppable before the CC comes through. Cassandre not really that tanky without that W. Mistake from Sheer.
He dies as well. The TP's blown everywhere you care to look. Double from JDG, actually worth noting. They'll claim the tier 1 plot afterwards as well. And JDG coming out on top in the majority of cases. At least they got the dragon. But let's have a look at this top side play where Care tried to escape.
Well, he ults and flashes. Really doesn't achieve much with that. You just shouldn't be that far up. Bluntly, why are you that far up? You're not level. If you're level 11, you have the cooldown for that. I understand. You don't have it here. Even the Rod of Ages doesn't give you any ultimate cooldown haste. Doesn't give you any cooldown, any ability haste in general. So Care. A mistake from him. I'm sad because FPX, it feels like this game has been marred by individual mistakes and by panic in what has been actually a pretty okay series overall. I think FPX, again, getting another great game 1. The game 2 was, again, had a mistake here or there, but it was winnable at some points. JDG, I think they've thrown curveballs. I think they've forced FPX to take a macro pop quiz, which they've obviously not. They've lost that, and they've had a failing grade. And JDG will walk away, probably with a win on the scoreboard now with the gold lead at this point and getting a Herald, the objective lead, but you can't help but wonder what would have happened if FPX had made less individual mistakes.
Tower on bot side being sieged at, but they don't pull the dive. Missing was around with the quickness, and he's already managed to find some really obnoxious counter plays already. A very prominent Rakan player in his own right. As mid lane, Herald is taken, immediately dropped down. Assume not blowing the ultimate or anything here. Trying to hold on best they can, but the tower falls regardless.
Oh,
big
Shadow.
chunk onto Shadow, who flashes out to safety, but the curves are going to get called. Care doesn't body block it.
It's hard to tell. You've got people flying at you, but again, this body language is all panic. FPX, you are making so many avoidable mistakes. They do have a combo here. The spot bossom's not bad. No flash
All
on
the time's also fantastic. Olive finally puts down the dominance, but they get the kill. And it's Care who gets it. Makes it the 1-for-1 of the grand scheme of things.
All right, at least it's one back for FPX. JDG, good pick onto Shadow. They know that he is easy to take down as both members died exactly the same spot. Missing, pops out the W, Chaos Storm comes through, but while all this is happening, JDG better at going towards that tower. They have to make the wave in tow.
Best wave clear on the side of FPX, really, so they're fighting to try and get those down, trying to put their bodies on the line. Damage back from the turrets as Assume now here begins to trade out as well. Sheer with the footwork gives Assume a shield, and the passive not procced onto Assume, who does get by the Deadly Flourish into that Hextech Ray. And the poke, the chip damage from FPX is because JDG is going to be really obnoxious this game.
Worth noting, by the way, Missing did lose his LPL Rakan win streak, which was very, very long. I think it was 26 game win streak within the LPL. He did end up losing that, so that one is gone. Looking to rebuild it anew, I suppose. Doesn't have a super team to do it alongside like 2023. Still got a pretty damn good team, though, I gotta say. And that one is, well, Castellan's, his booty ain't thick enough. Can't handle all that. Jin gets the bullet around the outside.
Picks up a kill. And at least the one back onto Arla comes on through 63% odd win rate. More like 64 if we round that up to the nearest integer. We'll find ourselves with FPX significantly behind in terms of the state of the game, which I think is a fair read. 4,000 gold, the grubs, the dragons, the turrets. There's a lot here not going their way. The feat of strength we kind of alluded to earlier, but didn't fully call out. Those boots are upgraded, though not obviously all the way up to tier 3. Atakan's up. JDG starting. Here we go again.
Do FPX even want to contest this? They're not. I don't know if they do. Shadow's not on the right side of the map. This will go down before he gets there in time, so I don't think it's even going to be a... Well, they're teleporting. Maybe they do, but they're late to the party.
It's a deep TP. Here we go. Shears in. What HP is that Atakan at? Are they happy with having taken the TP? 6,000 HP on the Atakan, so it is contestable. But, oh no, look for some damage.
That's a
TP
flash.
in as well now from Sheer, looking to come back on in. Going to try and play this one out, but with the flanking Renekton could be very deadly indeed. Care here. Going to try and play this one out.
They don't spot him.
They don't spot him yet. They've got that one warden now. May spot him out. All the while, down to 4k HP is the Atacon. Still looking for the flank. Dominus now pop. Looking to back away. FPX splits apart a little bit as a joke. The Glacial Prison in on the backside means that Care, even with that Seraph, will melt. Tries to hop away. The quickness from Missing is brutal. Pop Blossom not bound onto Arlet, but they can't kill him till just now. The bullets keep flying. Makes it a 2 for 2. Trying to trade those now. Shadow gets a Vault Breaker, but Assume has to flash on in. Trying to get the autos down. Scout in danger. Sheer just about alive. Pays now flashing on out. Gets that shot on down. The fourth bullet is always the deadliest. Additional win right now for JDG. Assume healing up off the Krug camps. Flash.
Oh, Scout.
Deadly Flourish lands. No plays. Way to get out as he picks that one up. Shadow goes over the wall to try and get shot, and they finally ace. FPX went to contest, and JDG's backline holds on and deletes him.
FPX, I think they've just lost the plot of the game. They're a step too slow. JDG doing very well to keep the tempo up of this game, forcing FPX to play away from Vision. Pays misses a cannon, you cretin. He walks away 4-0 and 4. Pays, very clean game from him so far. Always there for the follow-up W. This is a messy fight. Care gets a lot of CC onto him. And, you know, Missing, I actually don't think he gets that much. I mean, what's he doing with that quickness over there, you know? Like, I actually think that's not a great engagement Missing. It's a Rakan which he's got a lot of comfort onto. He should actually do better there. Goes massively past the margin, maybe trying to see if...
bullet time, yeah.
Well, he doesn't, though, because he flashes the completely wrong direction. Messy from JDG. Luckily, they're so fed, and Scout has the flash to clean things up.
And it looks like at the back end of it, maybe Pays with that blood, not Pays with that blood, but Assume with that Bloodthirst there, could find ways to get back into doing some work there in that game, but couldn't quite do it. Flashes secure it, and now Scout 105. Pays with the ultimate Jin number 404. He's very clean here.
Such a huge gold advantage, 6,000 gold. To JDG, yeah, there's 2 items for Karen. He is level 13, but he's down 2k on the Victor. Scout caught, that is a problem now.
Gravity Field comes on through, the all-out is there. Scout goes down, the bullet time is a little late, but it's still a kill secured.
Okay, so Scout taken down. Dragon's going down at the same time, though. I think FPX are genuinely very lucky there is no Baron at 20 minutes anymore. This would have been a 20-minute Baron game, and that probably would have been the game over at that point. Still a minute until that ends up spawning.
Atacon wasn't taken either, obviously, because of how low people were at the end of it all. So, in some ways, FPX, it was messy, but job done in terms of preventing a very scary objective breakpoint. Care will hop away. Has now got his 2 items fully stacked as well, worth noting, which is a helpful moment. There's that replay as basically a good all-out combo from the side of Sheer. Catches Scout with the Q3 and gets good value there.
Sheer, mixed game, you know, had that one kind of flubbed W around the dragon fight earlier. Ala, this is one of the reasons why, you know, we respect Renekton here. What's up?
Just the Atacon starts, the TP's come through, we're going again.
Alright, we go again.
FPX around and about, looking to try and contest his control ward in this Tribrush. Spotting Scout, Shadow coming on over. TP's come flying down to an amount of HP I can't quite see because of the scoreboard. There we go, half about. They need to find a way on over. Shadow now Vault Breaker's in. He's got the flash and the cease and desist, so tools to get in and contest this.
I'm actually a little bit worried about JDG here.
Yeah.
Kea can go over the wall, get some damage down. They go on to Scout, has no flash.
Puts down the Gravity Field, trying to play this one up on the other side of it. Already, they've lost Tway. The turnaround damage still pretty good, 2,000 HP. Can they find the Smite fight? The withdrawals would be huge. Still playing for the fight. Smite going away! Taken! That'll allow the withdrawals to play on out. Shun's alive, Missing, and the rest of Scout. Team looking to make some work. Ala with that Dominus. Stun onto the AD carry is a lot of work, and they will find some more withdrawals. Sheer tries to play the back end of it and will not. They lose 3 of the withdrawals, but do get back on the Rift. Baron's up.
They get back on the Rift. Remember, your withdrawals take a longer time to arm now. Kea is level 15 as well. At what point do we say we're worried? That was an objective bounty. Get some gold back. They get themselves GAs, and JDG haven't actually fought that well around the Atacon. The last fight, from how far they were ahead, was not dominant. They had to, you know, misplayed his engage quite a lot, actually. The quickness was, you know, pulled, but didn't really feel like it was going quick in the right direction. And this one, I mean, Missing does get onto the back line, but doesn't actually get Assumed cleanly. And it feels like the disengage just comes through at a really weird moment. A lot of HP is lost. Of course, they're tanking the Atacon this particular version as well. I'll just shred you very nastily, and the Q comes through.
Oh, Shun.
Very close to even Shun, even very close to Shun going down. Yeah, absolutely. And look, they lose some withdrawals, but they're not over to JDG. They do still get themselves an objective bounty from this, and I think, honestly, they'll take that, especially given the point of the game they're in.
Completely agree, and it allows you to buy a bit of time, get a needlessly large roll onto Care. I don't know whether that's going to be a Zhonya's or a Death Cap. I can see value to both here. More AP, critically, because you need this casting to hit breakpoint. He's very close to level 16 too.
Yeah, it might be the Shadow Flame too, so
true.
it could be that. But, oh yeah, he's literally hitting level 16 on this wave, I think. So Care, he is inches off, minions off. Okay, that level 16. This wave will be it. Level 16 casted him. It's not the easiest casting game in existence, but it is level 16 casted him. He's done some dirty work before.
You play Doomsday scenario here. Have to try 3 items done for Pays, 2.5 for Scout. You're still in a pretty scary spot. But hey, FPX, not out of reach. You can play around this dragon and try to play on that one.
Dre has flash too. Shadows, do you want to go towards something? They were looking to make a fight happen on the 16 mark from Kara, actually, using up his ult to get towards that mid lane. Reminder that if you do keep stacking, it does cost more and more mana to the point where it does actually cost, 1,600 mana per cast of it. It does more damage with it too. Should going forwards. Is this the fight that you want?
Goes wide. Shadow does get hit by the Deadly Flourish. They can turn on to him. Gets knocked up after, but the turnaround with the Pop Blossom means everyone has to back away. Dway stays alive and still got that withdrawal to work with. Shun in danger, but so is missing. Curtains and Call. Arla goes on in with a slice in the Dominus, trying to find an angle. Can't quite kill off people they're looking for. Good W from Sheer. And ult burned. No one dies.
Yeah, Care doesn't have that much sting behind the ultimate just yet. That's a lot of summoners blown for FPX, and so Scout does lose his on the other side. You can see that, casting can't just immediately ping onto that ult target from whoever, really, whether that's Dre or Shadow, and instantly kill them. He is down still a significant amount of gold. If he gets towards, maybe Shadow Flame helps, maybe Death Cap helps, whatever he's got gold for, bluntly, is what they need. 30 seconds till Dragon Infernal Soul available for JDG. I think that's a game ender if it comes through. I think JDG, with the amount of random damage they have, it's so much hard to play through.
They did burn every ult, and some of these players won't be quite there, I don't think, on spawn if FPX can contest before things like the quickness come up.
Okay, well, we did say we are the region of cooldown economy. Bullet time not being up kind of huge, though, too.
Still a cease and desist and all out. It's not bad. Pop Blossom, I think, will be back up shortly. And I say that the quickness nearly there. Actually, everything but that Curtain Call looking like it'll likely be up here for the side of JDG. We go again.
Arla, 2,000 gold advantage going back. I mean, it is late game Renekton. Still pretty useful with the Renekton Sejuani for the purpose of killing that cast-in. Spotted going towards that bot side. Ooh, that could be a bit of an issue. Scuttle Crab going to get taken by JDG. That'll clear out some vision, of course, with the Void Scuttle. Shadow, you surely don't go in on this. No, he doesn't. Pays level 16 now as well. Has that 30-tier ult.
Everyone's ults now back off cooldown. We've bought enough time for them. We go again. Shadowman looking for missing. Can't quite find it. Cease and desist with the bullet time combo. Oh, the missing, he's gone!
Oh, the Rakan's gone. That's a lot of the engage. Now, where is your ability to lock up the rest of the team? Could be a huge mistake by JDG.
Scare, hunting forwards, the Rift Walk, looking to drag them into
goes onto the clone!
They tried it onto the clone. Massive deal. Glacial Prison is completely denied. It was all a Ponzi scheme. Strawman argument. Shun in danger. Dragon secured. Shun down.
And here comes, honestly, a big wave for FPX. Of gold, I suppose. Probably not the way to phrase it. It's not a minion wave. They will get themselves the dragon. They will get themselves an objective bounty. And we asked earlier, at what point do you start to get worried? Care, potentially jumping over here. Does so. It buys time for FPX. Only 4,000 gold behind now. They were 6k earlier. And particularly as the game goes on, the percent gold lead gets less. I think we start getting worried now for JDG.
Maybe we do.
Level 16 Cassidon, going up towards level 17. He's going beyond the break point. What the hell happened there? Missing. Caught out on a huge flank. Nowhere near his team. Shadow gets the pick. Missing, we've had questions about him, and I think those inconsistencies come to bite him again.
Back towards Baron we look. It's up. And suddenly, there's a third item on that Misfortune.
Yeah.
The Zhonya is nearly completed for Kerry. He's got the arm guard, so he's happy enough with that. And this looks mighty playable now, I have to say.
Level 16 Misfortune is also really nasty. You don't have the most gold in the world on the Misfortune, but a bullet time's a bullet time. And if you catch out the Rakan, he is no tank. He's many things, but Hyper Tank is not one of them. JDG, I think they might have messed around for too long. I think they might be able to find out what happens in the late game. We were wondering whether late game casting can be the difference. The ability to follow up on plays, very high from FPX. JDG, they now have a late game Renekton. Yes, 2,500 gold. Yeah, nice. You're still a Renekton at 30 minutes into the game compared to champions which just scale better as an identity. They shouldn't have been allowed to get to this point. Not with the early game that was happening. In FPX, a team that have gone 3 games but lost against so many teams here in Group Ascend, looking to maybe double tap JDG.
Care just picked up the first turret of the game for FPX at 31 minutes. There is so much gold standing if they can just claim some of those structures.
Victor teleporting up towards the top side of the map. Pace took a chunk from something. Just be a little careful there. Are we going to get any recalls coming through? Cassidy is staying alone in bot side. Can't recall. I think he's... I think
you match him. Yeah.
I think
keep going.
I think he can recall. Hang on, that's a good pick.
Shit, managed to footwork away. Needs to stay safe.
Needs to flash.
Does so, gets on out.
He uses W and his E. That's the big check mark, right? Has he uses W and his E? Doesn't have that flash now for the ability to go forward. 700 gold for Kassadin. Puts him into 1,000 gold lead against Scout, who's been leading against him the whole game. Will get himself towards a Zhonya's as that third item. And FPX, maybe they can play around the Kassadin now.
Zhonya's plus NLR, so has an additional bit of AP.
Hang on. They're split now. This is a problem.
Way looking for an angle, finds the tangle bar, flash Pot Blossom, flash out from base, but it's not far enough! The Jhin is dead, the bullet time after! Looks fantastic, teleport in from our lane to the backside, trying to do a lot of damage, and he will not survive the onslaught. Care, hopping around, goes golden, will need to rift walk somewhere, gets another shield, can't get to kill, as Arla trading on out the backside in so much danger. Vault Breaker into the relentless force, should kill off this Renekton. The double up won't land, but they kill off another member. It's a big win for FPX. You lose 2 in trade for 3.
I think that should have gone differently though. Care, I don't think it's valuable killing off missing there. He trades his life, and I think also uses his Zhonya's in a bit of a bad way. Care, I think, maybe messing up a little. It's a minute 30 until the Dragon. I mean, still a lot of gold over to Care. He's almost got a death cap in inventory now. He almost one-shopped it.
You burned all of the carries, flashes though. Pace, Scout, Arla.
That's true.
All
you know
down
what?
Flashes.
You know, I take it back then. You know, actually, you came out of that fight saying big win for FPX. I think in terms of the actual members dead, maybe not. In terms of the cooldowns blown, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, losing Nico Flash, big. But having no flashes on the carries against the Vi, who will have flash, and then also, well, maybe not actually, did lose that, but the Kassadin as well, that is absolutely crucial.
In fairness to Arla, the reason that Care ends up alone is because Arla on this Renekton leaves him a bit split off, and once Care's there, he can't run away, really, so ends up in this position where it's like, okay, well, I'm trading my life out.
If JDG lose this game, it is on their heads. This was a game controlled by them from so early into the game. Kassadin has scaled. Shadow is also very strong here too. Doesn't have that GA, that's an important thing that they're losing. Scout does have a Seekers, that's important. Pays doesn't have that luxury. Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, and JDG, I don't know how they're going to go work out of this one. Shadow connects something like that, can change the game.
Flourish after into the curtain call. They know where Pays is now at the very least. They're going to try and throw some of those fourth shots. Care gets over and goes very deep, but blast cones out. Sheer with the W means that curtain call means very little.
It's a little spooky. Oh, missing. God, it's so scary here. He's close enough for a W into an E. He doesn't have that flash. Arla pushing up mid lane, threatening an inhibitor. Both teleports available for solo laners of FPX, not available for JDG if a reset comes through. Care on the flank. I mean, we are in a one-team fight game now at this point. Care is strong. Doesn't have that death cap just yet.
Buckle in, dear viewers, and keep hands, arms, and legs inside the roller coaster at all times. Welcome to the drop. Stun onto Care, but the bullet time over the Baron, over the Dragon. They're trying to play this one out. They get the Dragon secure though. Sold for JDG. Does that mean anything at the back end of the fight? I think it does. That is unfortunate.
That was an awful bullet time. Awful. You are not looking for the flip there, FPX. You're looking for the fight. Getting the bullet time onto the Dragon and nothing else gives JDG what they came for. Assume might have just thrown the late game.
What happened there? I need to look at it again.
He ulted the Dragon and nothing else. JDG managed to split from it. No extra setup. And now the Baron has started with the Infernal Soul. FPX, please tell me you didn't just throw it there.
What a way to lose. Back towards Baron. It's down to 9k. Missing, looking for an angle. The damage from Asuna means missing. Down with 3rd HP. And now JDG caught out of position. Care has teleported in. Level 18 Kassadin can still do wonders.
Shadow off vision. Has a flank. Has flash. Flash ult. Level 16. Might actually just get caught out here. Needs to be very careful the distance he goes towards. Spots Pays. He doesn't have flash. Did he get it? Yes, he does!
I'm gonna get the backside, gonna get cease and desist in the glacier prison buys time. Care gets on top of him. Pays is meat. Shun trying to run away, but it's just bacon to go on top of everything else. They found another. They can look for the Baron after, and maybe even more. Care is hunting. Scout needs to be aware. Gets to go golden out of the gravity field. Can look to Warfork again. A triple kill into a Zhonya's. The Kassadin pick comes out trump. Arla still trying to try to the backside, flash away, but Shadow keeps alive. They get another.
Scout goes down, 4 dead. Can they walk anywhere? They don't have the teleports. It's not the end of the game. It's Baron. And for the first time in this game, Fun plus Phoenix gets a gold lead.
All of the shutdowns, missing's back in the life. Surely don't steal it with the Gleaming Quill.
Jesus
They're
Christ.
looking for it, and there was no smite available from Shadow, so you got to worry. There's only 2 turrets taking the entire damn game from FPX, and it was a tier 2 in bot lane, so all of the rest of the map there to claim. Let's have a look again.
Pays. Caught out by the Fog of War. The Shadow is part of it. Care, level 16. The biggest thing is that he can just follow up with forever flashes for that. I wonder whether Care makes a mistake there going on to the Sejuani instead of the Scout. Instead of Scout immediately jumps into a death ray. I think it's the right decision to kill Victor here, actually. I mean, how much gold goes over? 391? Okay, you know, you accept that. Oh, what a mess. What a mess of a game so far, folks.
Oh, the FPX coach is grinning ear to ear.
Okay.
Death cap done.
Death cap is done for the Kassadin. Right. 37 minutes. Baron on 4 from FPX. Care obviously didn't have it, he wasn't alive. Oh my god, he's so strong though. How much damage is he going to do with this? Not that much. Misses the E. Q is kind of nasty, but the Chain Lace Crushers will tank that up. 3.5 minutes on Elder. Care can maybe just one-shot people now. He wants to get a Void Staff as his last item, presumably. Tower's going down. Shadow does have his GA back up. That's actually really scary.
There's an Immortal Shield Bow on this Moist Fortune as well, alongside the Bloodthirster. She's not even
Ala needs to be... Oh god.
Hang on, look at the other side. Shadow's found an angle onto Shuri's in danger. Thing goes missing with the quickness and the ultimate turns running. They're trying to find some time. GA will be popped. In comes the Arcane Storm. Shadow's surely dead to right it. Bomb Blossom engage! The bloodline is utter magic! We are frozen in a moment of history. Jing Dong Gaming find nothing but defeat near their own base.
What an ultimate from Shui. The pick that was banned from him the whole series might have just seen FPX take down the undefeated Jing Dong Gaming.
They lose 3. Arla and Scout must hold. GA bought from Arla, but there is no ult, no flash from Scout. His Zhonya's is not completed. He has no stasis. The play is not that easy. Arla's going to try and clear out the way. They're keeping him away from it. Escorting the minions in. Assume is here. Looking to get onto those turrets, tanking up some of them. The Nexus turrets are just collapsing. They've done it! Fun plus Phoenix rise from the ashes of the early game on the back of Kassadin's wings.